7:01, we're going to call the meeting to order.
Just like night court. I love that. I always saw that.
Excuse me, Mary.
Starting.
Thank you.
This is a regular meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Keyport, Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. Let the minutes show that adequate notice of this meeting as required by Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, has been provided pursuant to the amended meeting schedule, which has been posted on the bulletin boards filed with the Borough Clerk and has been sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Star Ledger.
Thank you. Michelle, will you do the roll call?
Councilmember Demarest.
Here.
Councilmember Riley. Here. Councilmember Vecchio.
Here.
Councilmember Pepperoni.
Here.
Councilmember McNamara. Here. Council President Davidson. Here. And Mayor Arania.
Here. Will everybody join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Tonight we are actually going to read the proclamation from the Borough of Keyport for 2023 Pride Month. Whereas the Borough of Keyport recognizes and proclaims the month of June 2023 as Pride Month and dedicates it to commemorating lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ+ pride. And whereas the first Pride March was held on June 1970, 1 year after the Stonewall riots and subsequent demonstrations in 1969. And the Pride Month is now annually recognized throughout the state of New Jersey and across the country every June. And whereas Pride Month increases awareness and visibility, provides support and advocacy for New Jersey LGBTQ+ community, and create opportunities to act and engage in dialogue to establish friendships, strengthen alliances, build acceptance, and advance equal rights. And whereas education and awareness are essential to drive freedom and equality by strengthening tolerance and acceptance, ending discrimination and prejudice, and ensuring all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. And whereas LGBTQ+ individuals have made immeasurable impacts that have strengthened the cultural, civic, and economic successes of our neighborhoods and nation. And whereas the kaleidoscope of colors represent Pride Month, reflecting unity, inclusion, and support for LGBTQ+ people, and the rainbow is an important symbol of LGBTQ+ identity and solidarity. Whereas the Borough of Keyport observes Pride Month to honor the history of LGBTQ+ liberation movement and acknowledge the contributions, talents, and creativity of LGBTQ+ people and all people within our diverse community. Now, therefore, I, Rose P. Aranio, Mayor of the Borough of Keyport, do hereby proclaim June 2023 as Pride Month in Keyport. As the Mayor of the Borough of Keyport, I also call upon the citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools in the Borough of Keyport to commemorate this colorful recognition of the countless contributions of all LGBTQ+ residents who enrich our community and make the Borough of Keyport a vibrant and diverse home, workplace, and destination. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go right into committee reports. Councilmember Demarest.
Yes, I'd like to report on the DPW. We finished the first round of interviews with our BA for the supervisor's position. We're going to start the second round. All of us will be involved, and we'll make sure we keep you guys updated when we're heading in that direction. The second thing I'd like to talk about is the KBBC. Although we did not have a meeting, we didn't have not a quorum like the Fred Flintstones, a quorum, what is it called?
Quorum.
Quorum. We didn't have a quorum. okay? However, the nice thing about the KBBC is there's some nice pamphlets being passed around town you can take a look at. And also Keyport, as I showed you last time, is also in this 2023 Beach Garden. Okay, very, very nice. Also, I have something to show you. So I think out of the box a little bit. So I did a nice job, well, I didn't do a nice job, our clerk did a nice job, Michelle, of putting this together for me. And if the people out in the audience can put their attention to that screen right over there to their left, and the diocese could put their attention to the right, we're going to show a real quick clip of what I believe happening in Keyport. Great for people, great for this mayor, great for this town. So just take a peek. Maybe you've seen it already. It's good to see it again. Maybe you haven't seen it. It's really good to see. So it's only about a couple minutes long. So Michelle gets ready.
While we're waiting, I just wanted everybody, the wreath was designed by Callie Galapo, and she donated it to the borough. Thank you.
And New Jersey may be home to one of America's favorite main streets, but it's also home to a number of hidden gems, including the shore town of Keyport. Unlike other Jersey coastal towns, it's maintained a low profile and prides itself in its historic charm. Keyport Mayor Rose Arenio sat down with me to discuss how far the waterfront town has come and why she's confident that downtown investments that make sense, not just money, could put them on the map. So we are in beautiful Keyport, and what I love most about Keyport is that you can eat out, you can be in the coffee shop just like this, and then you have this view of the water right there.
It's wonderful.
And one of my most favorite places to eat here is the fishery.
Keyport Fishery. They've been around for many years.
Yes!
And everybody loves the fishery.
Yes!
It has lines outside. Everybody likes
Lines.
it. So you have a brown paper bag.
Right?
You get your food in there. And then the
You wait for your
main
name to be called.
That's it. And then
Yeah.
you go down by the waterfront.
The
and you
picnic
have,
table.
You have
Yeah.
to eat. And the locals love
Yes.
to eat on the bulkhead.
So tell me a little bit about Keyport. For people who may not be aware of the town or what it, offers, tell me a little bit more about it.
Keyport is a historic town, but what we've done over many years is we've made it more friendly for everybody. So you don't just have antique shops, you have boutiques now that are in town. You have restaurants that are just amazing. You have Drew's Restaurant, you have McDonough's, you have The Chill, the Fishery. So everybody enjoys that. You have a little bit of art here also, because everybody likes the community. They like the art, they like what's going on. We have the NPP, we've done murals at different buildings, just beautiful things in the town. We have a crab on one building, you have Fred Astaire on another building, you have a beautiful charter boat on another building, but they're beautiful. So that's what part of Keyport is. Keyport is a walking town. So you're walking around, you're visiting your neighbors, you're seeing the residents, you have a beautiful charm in the town, but you also visit all of the boutiques and everything, the little shops.
I feel like Keyport's superpower is that there's no big change. You don't see a Dunkin' Donuts. You don't see the Starbucks. It's a lot of mom and pop.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about how you balance that historic charm and growth, because Keyport continues to grow.
But what's really great is a lot of the buildings in town, they were older buildings. Now we have people that come in and they're redeveloping them. They're making them into boutiques, but still keeping the charm of the community that was there. They're creating luxury apartments on the top of some of the buildings. I think that's really great. I think that's the part that everybody loves. You want to keep that small town charm, but you also still know that you need to grow with the times. So we're keeping the small town charm by keeping some of these buildings.
One of the buildings we talked about that I think is super cool is a church.
Yes, Old Glory.
Yes.
Old Glory is a great restaurant now. It was a church at one time. And next door to it, we actually have a fire museum. that most people don't even know about. But that's a nice little piece of the town that you still want to keep that.
We talk about growth. We talk about Keyport expanding and growing and getting bigger. What do you want to see?
Well, it's not only what I would want to see, it's what the residents would want. Many residents still want that old charm feel in the town, and they don't want large condos and, big developments. But in order to get ratables and to grow at the time, sometimes you need a development, but you want a development that's going to fit within your community. So you take a look at the waterfront. Everybody takes, walk down the waterfront. Hey, I want to develop on the waterfront. Of course, that's everybody's dream. It has to fit within our community. Fit within, what I'm thinking. It doesn't matter what I'm thinking. It's what everybody's thinking. It has to go before the planning board. The planning board has to make sure it fits with our look and our feel of our town and what the residents want. And our residents will tell you what they want too.
What is your short-term and long-term vision for Keyport?
Well, short term, I'd say we need a lot of our parks and our waterfront. That all needs to be spruced up. It has gone where we didn't spruce it up as we should have. I mean, we're a waterfront community. It has to be inviting for everybody. So it's not just our waterfront that we see out here. It's also the parks. So we're working on some parks and developing those to bring them all compliant that everybody can use it. Cleaning up our beaches, making sure our beach looks beautiful. Long term, I know we're going to have some development. And I do want development, but I don't want it to overcrowd what we have, because the charm of everybody coming and flocking to Keyport has to do with, the charm of the town.
All right, there are a lot of exciting things happening here in Keyport, and I guess people will just have to come here and find out for themselves. Keyport is open for business.
Yes, it is. Keyport is open for business. It would be great to have everybody come out and visit, enjoy our waterfront, enjoy our restaurants, enjoy shopping, and just enjoy walking around the town. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And you can't talk about New Jersey's thriving commercial district without doing it.
Great job, thank you. Also, so everybody understands that high school and elementary school are both graduating tomorrow. Just in half time, they get graduated in the front lawn of the high school, both the elementary first, central school, and then the high school. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Riley.
Good evening, Mayor. The fire department had its annual inspection on Saturday, May 20th. It was a wonderful day, and each house did a fantastic job answering questions. It was great to see all the pride these volunteers have in their job, brakes, and firehouses. There was also a monument unveiling for Chief Timothy Flager. It was a lovely event and helps remind us of the incredible sacrifices our first responders make. I'm sure I speak for all of Keyport when I express my deepest gratitude. The Environmental Commission met on May 22nd. They created a list of top 10 priorities for our borough. Excellent ideas were put forward by the commission members, from rain and tidal flooding, beach cleanups, community engagement, lantern fly, education, action, signage for plants, and fostering relationships between departments and the professionals that work for the borough. Dr. Chang is currently studying our beachfront and has noted significant beach erosion from storm drains, and a letter from the KEC is the KEC is currently awaiting updates on various projects: Mariners Village, Deputy Ventures, 31 West Front Street, Aero Marine, 317 Beer Street, Beachfront Park outfall pipe and flooding issues, Port 149 bulkhead progress, and former Peterson's Maria property. And the next meeting is Monday, June 26th.
Thank you. Councilmember Vecchia.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll start with Harbor Commission. Since our last meeting, the floating dock was put in, and we also supplied a list of items that were no longer needed down by the boathouse and also inside the boathouse. We supplied that to our BA Kim, and she was able to work with DPW to make sure that all of those items were removed. The dredging that was supposed to happen by the county didn't pan out as we expected, and we are now awaiting a few quotes to get that done. The bylaws are in the hands of legal, and right now we are waiting for final word on them and hoping to have them to be part of the agenda for the next council meeting. And just another reminder that the Snapper contest will be Saturday, September 16th, and Harbor Commission is currently working on getting all prizes and every other detail organized for that event. For the police, officers from our Keyport Police Department participated in the 40th Annual Special Olympics Torch Run. They received the torch from Hazlitt and they carried it to Aberdeen before passing it off to them. Last week, fifth graders from the Keyport Central School celebrated their graduation from the LEAD program taught by Officer Almack. The program promotes positive attitudes and behaviors, healthy relationships, and the resistance to substance abuse, conflict, and negative attitudes. In addition to the program's graduation, members of the NJ Department of Corrections K-9 came out and provided a K-9 demonstration that included our very own Keyport's K-9 DAX. And from Municipal Alliance, our meeting on the 8th was canceled because of the smoke that engulfed all of the East Coast. And I have nothing to report on that end. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Pepperoni?
Thank you. So for fire prevention, UCC inspections was 188 for the month. Code enforcement inspections, 137 for the month. Property maintenance complaints, 25. For the treasurer's report for the Board of Health, intake was $2,359. For Union Beach Registrar report, we collected $50. And we didn't have a rec meeting because we didn't have a quorum this week. Our next meeting is July 21st, I believe. That's it for me.
Thank you. Councilmember McNamara?
Thank you. Before I begin my committee report, I wanted to thank the mayor and acknowledge the reading of the proclamation for Pride Month earlier. Numerous members of our community communicated their appreciation for the small event that was held last year and expressed hope that support would continue. So I do join them in expressing a desire for the borough to increase the support next year. Green Team, we participated in 2 community events. The first was the table that we had at the Keyport Red Raiders Night, which was held at Central School. I was joined by fellow Green Team members Sue Kleinberg and Mike Palmisano. We shared information on spotted lanternfly stages and information on how to build a circle trap. There was also an education on horseshoe crabs. Green Team also had a community education outreach table set up during the Keyport Garden Walk as we have in the past. We offered the same information mentioned above, as well as some Rutgers info sheets on soil and water conservation tips. Between the 2 events, we had a lot of folks that asked to be added to our tip of the month distribution list, as well as specific requests for instructions on how to build the circle traps. NPP, Kearney Street, the front of the park has the new ADA tables, and per our engineer, meets the ADA accessibility requirements. The back of the property now has the bench swings. One is still in the works. Planting will soon be completed. I was over there today. It looks great. So many folks are unaware of the park's existence entirely, so I do encourage people on their walkabouts to stop by and discover this pocket park. It's a perfect location to bring your lunch or snack that you can pick up from one of our local eateries. Anticipating a ribbon cutting in early fall, but please, feel free to start checking it out. The NPP ARP grant submission was done on May 24th for $275,000 for the Beach Park Waterfront Project. Determination on grant awards and notification is expected to be during the week of June 26th. We're hoping to submit an application for a $50,000 T-Mobile grant. There's a resolution tonight. These are highly competitive, shovel-ready only projects, and we can reapply every quarter. There's no match grant, and the announcement of awards should be in September. On the cannabis front, as noted via a resolution on the agenda this evening, Simply Pure has submitted a name change to the CRC and has asked the borough to update the resolution of support that we gave them last October. Currently anticipate that the CRC will convert that conditional license to an annual before the end of the summer. We're still awaiting for a decision on the KG&J highway litigation, and the trial on Green and Gold, one of the 4 in-town applicants, is scheduled for July 6th. Finance and grants, on the agenda tonight we have the public hearing for the budget, and as mentioned in a resolution tonight, there is an ask in order to get some equipment for Cedar Street Park. We have a grant that needs to be encumbered by the end of August for $60,000. So there's some equipment that is being discussed for that. And there's a lot of updates in terms of grants that were mentioned in the NPP updates, and there's a lot of other grants mentioned in the agenda tonight. In closing, I would like to ask just a general question to the administration and council, I guess, as to what has happened to the practice of accepting items for the agenda up until the close of business the Tuesday before meeting. This practice served us well the whole time I've been on council, and it has been our clerk who has had to complete the agenda and get it out to the governing body by Thursday evenings. The lack of adherence has resulted in packets getting to us close to midnight on Friday or even Saturday afternoon. And I bring this up because we should all be given enough time to thoroughly review everything in a packet and allow us to research anything we have questions on. The amount of items being placed on agendas combined with the lack of appropriate time for council members to review is not acceptable. I ask that we step into the new rhythm with the workshop meetings or regular meetings and work to extend the courtesies to one another and especially to our clerk. So I'm not sure what the process will be going forward in terms of how we decide which meetings, what items will be on the topics for the workshop meetings, but I do welcome that. I know myself, I have a list of more than half a dozen items that, have not been addressed this year that I'm hoping will be on there. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. For redevelopment, the redevelopment committees and the council will meet in the next week, or next week, I think we're scheduled for this week, to discuss potential projects and a general conversation that we always have regarding redevelopment within the borough, keeping in with the master plan and the look and feel we're going for as a borough. The planning board meeting is this coming Thursday right here in Chambers at 7 p.m. We have a full agenda with 3 applications, and that's all I have. Good to be back on the desk.
Thank you. Mayor's update. May 18th, I attended the police awards ceremony that was coordinated by Chief Torres. I was very proud of our Keyport Police Department and their accomplishments through the year. That evening, I also swore in Officer Zarin Stevens to a regular full-time police officer. It was something that many residents do not get to see as they do not come to council meetings. We wish Officer Zarin Stevens our best wishes and congratulations. May 20th, I attended and participated in the Keyport Fire Inspection. Due to inclement weather, Chief Strang had requested inspection to be held at the firehouse. It's my honor to say we have one of the most dedicated fire departments, and their equipment as well as their presentation was impeccable. Congratulations to all the award recipients, as well as Bob Pop Poling for 70 years of service. May 26th, attended and participated in the monument unveiling honoring Chief Timothy Flager. If any of our residents have not seen it, it's a beautiful monument, and it's positioned at Fireman's Park. Thank you, Bert Almack, for rearranging the Fireman's Park. You did a beautiful job. May 26th, had a meeting with DCA just to start some conversation regarding some shared services. Councilmember Riley and Vecchio, as well as our business administrator, was present. Memorial Day, May 29th, we participated with the American Legion along with several of our council members, where we laid poppies at several cemeteries, had presentations of wreaths and poppies at the Keyport Library, Keyport Beach Park, Keyport American Legion, Keyport Fireman's Park, and final wreath at the Keyport Waterfront. We had many firemen as well as the American Legion members. A solemn tribute to the heroes that lost their lives. June 1st, attended Red Raider Night at Keyport Central School, a fantastic event. Dr. Lisa Savoy did an amazing job. A few hundred residents and children were out along with our police, fire department, first aid, environmental committee, municipal alliance, green team, Kiwanis Club, and many others. A way to get information out on many organizations that residents and children could get involved in, volunteering as well as informational pamphlets. Thank you, Councilmember Kathleen McNamara, for also taking part and having a table for Green Team. June 3rd, the Garden Club, a few thousand visitors came out to listen to the garden talk. as well as walk the gorgeous gardens of Keyport. I was able to visit a few homes, and thank you to all the volunteers of the Garden Club. June 4th, I actually spent 5 hours on a planning board test and meeting. That's the requirement for all planning board members, and you must maintain a 70% or more on the test. I did pass, but I want everyone to know, when you're appointed on the planning board or volunteer for this, this is a requirement. June 13th, KBBC, we did not have a quorum, as Councilmember Demarest had advised. We're rescheduled for June 26th. June 14th, attended Film Ready New Jersey workshop with our borough administrator at the Count Basie Theater. It's a 5-step certification and marketing program that educates municipalities on the basics of motion picture, TV production, and enables cities and towns to effectively accommodate on-location filming. They market their communities as well as filming destinations. We were invited to participate in a 1-day workshop, which is the first step towards certification. Representatives will receive training and guidance from industry professionals, local mayors, commissioners, and staff, and learn about the economic impact on hosting on-location filming. So we may have to update some of our ordinances with that. Since Netflix is now at Fort Monmouth and Governor Murphy incentivizes studios with a 30 to 35% tax break, Keyport could also have more opportunities in the future to be in films. June 8th, library board meeting was canceled due to air quality, and since they do not have a resolution for holding a Zoom meeting after COVID, it had to be canceled. It was rescheduled for June 15th, however, I couldn't attend, so I'll get information afterwards. June 15th, KBBC held our first book stock. Thank you, Melissa, and all the volunteers. It was wonderful. I was pleased to see everyone that came out, not only for the dog parade and costume contest for our four-legged friends, but also Madison Avenue Music. It was well attended by all, and it seems many people were visiting all of the businesses that were open. I was a judge along with 2 other KBBC members. We had 3 winners: Sunflower Dog, Hound Dog, and Elvis. June 17th, we held a celebration for Juneteenth at the mini park, 11 to 12:30. It was a beautiful celebration and well attended. We also planted a myrtle crepe tree at the waterfront with a plaque. The plaque is not actually in the ground yet. We're just waiting for the tree to actually take. I gave a proclamation. Now, before anyone asks where the funding came from, the only thing that we paid for out of the mayor's fund was the tree and the proclamation that we blew up from Fast Copy. Everything else were donated from residents, flowers, water, and decorations. Chad from Italian Gourmet Delight graciously gave out ice cream at the celebration. I'd like to thank Councilmember Riley for participating, Councilmember McNamara also. June 17th, performed another wedding for a lifelong resident's son, former Councilmember Dick Carrier's grandson, Thomas Carrier. He's being deployed to Japan for 4 years in the Marines. We wish Thomas J. and his wife Kayleen a beautiful life, and Thomas, please remember how grateful we are for your service. Chief Torres, myself, and the Borough Administrator are working with JCP&L on a pilot program that was recommended by County Sheriff Sean Golden to replace street lights through Keyport with LED lights. As more information is available, we'll let everybody know. Chief Torres is also working with Sheriff Golden on cameras, and again, as more information is available, we'll let you know. That's all I have.
Mayor, I'd just like to say it was a nice gesture by you to invite the previous mayors, Merla, Walmack, and Kennedy, to help you throw the wreath on Memorial Day into the bay. That was a great gesture. Thank you for that.
Thank you. I would definitely always include them.
Yes.
Okay. Public comment portion. The meeting is open to the public for agenda items only. Do we have a motion?
Vote.
Second. Do we have anybody? Don?
Hi, Jen Henning, 102 Main Street. I'm just looking at resolution, some examination of a budget. Can you explain that to me?
Which one are you looking at?
It's the one, whereas NJSA 40A 4-78B.
Mayor,
Yeah.
You'd like, oh,
Yeah,
right. Yeah, so, once, yeah, sure. The budget is approved by the state, actually reviewed in depth by the state once out of every 3 years. Last year was Keyport's year to be reviewed by the state. So for the next 2 years, we're required to self-examine our budget. We still have to submit all the documentation and the budget document to the state, but they don't do an in-depth review like they did last year. Only those municipalities that are in good financial condition are allowed to self-review their budget. So we meet all the requirements, and as such, we self-examine. And that's just a resolution of the governing body that enables the chief financial officer to do the self-examination, and then I also certify to that self-examination.
Maybe that's not the one I was looking at. It's the one
Oh,
about employees. Employees and at will?
That's not the one, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
So-
that's the one I want.
I'll hand that to the administrator.
What's the number?
What number?
What number is
We need the number.
I didn't see that number.
Do you have it?
It's the employee handbook.
Employee handbook.
191.
Oh, we're updating the personnel policy for the 2023 year. We know that we just adopted one about a month ago, I would say, but that was actually for 2020, 2021, and 2022. We're updating for the 2023 to become
So these-
compliant with the GIP.
Okay, so these employees were at will previously, all these employees? Or is this a
New
change?
Jersey is an Apple state, so we don't have a choice.
You're not covered under civil service? and-
We are civil service, but it's still, I don't know if the attorney would like to.
Yeah,
Right.
you can explain that.
I agree.
So we're civil service, but it's still an Apple state.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? John?
Thank you, Mayor. John Morella, 34 Broad Street. Just a couple questions regarding a couple resolutions. Resolution 2023-195, the part-time backup water treatment operator. Why are we doing that?
What would you like to?
Which one is that?
The backup water plant operator?
Oh, it's required by the DEP to have a backup sewer operator at all times. We weren't compliant prior.
196, the purchase of a truck.
No, 196 is the hourly salary rate.
Oh, I'm sorry, the...
But I do know about the purchase of the truck. If you'd like to answer.
Yeah, I'd like to know if the purchase of the truck is everything included.
It's
Plow,
everything, yes,
lights.
it's everything included in that number. It was an ordinance that was passed, I think about a year, last year.
2022.
Yeah, yeah.
Would this be the truck that was replaced of a truck that was in an accident?
I wouldn't know, I don't know, I don't believe so, I don't know.
I believe this is a new truck.
It's just a
new truck. Yeah.
With a plow.
And 2023-199 calls for a part-time municipal clerk.
Deputy municipal clerk.
The
yes.
resolution didn't state how many hours or salary. Do we have that?
It is variable. Right now, we are testing out how many hours we actually need someone, and it is within our salary ordinance and guidelines.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, John. Anybody else? Colette?
Good evening, everyone. Colette Kennedy, 421 Atlantic Street. Just a couple quick questions. The resolution regarding the MPP. I know conversations for this extension of the plan go towards improvements towards Beach Park. So I have mentioned it in the past, not recently, but chatter on Facebook, not that we should all live by that, are a lot of residents talking about the beach park location and traffic and so forth. And I have made a suggestion several times that maybe we relocate Beach Park over to where the Historical Society used to be, since that's borough-owned property, and then residents would be able to park to bring their children. You wouldn't have the situation that we have going on with the boat trailers, because then you could take Beach Park, move that over to Historical Society prior location, have a park there and then open up more trailer parking and then they have the open. So I'm just going to put that out there again on record. So take that into consideration when you're adopting this 3-year plan. That funding can go into that because it falls within the NTP map. Sorry. And then I guess, is there a reason, follow up on Mr. Muller's question, why it's part-time deputy clerk and how many hours of help Michelle could use? I think probably is in the arrears of 6 years worth of help needed, I think. So is there a reason we're taking that position that used to be a full-time position and
Michelle
making it
is the
part-time?
one that did the interviewing and came up with the hours, and
Okay. I didn't mark it. I saw it. Oh, the playground for Cedar Street? Do we have to have a public hearing on that one, for the grant?
which grant?
I don't know which grant's being used for that playground that's being used for Cedar, that's going in for Cedar Street. Is there like, besides on the agenda, is there any communication or input from the public that, because that park has been in long discussions for a long time and a lot of people kept asking when they would see the renderings for that?
Didn't we see the renderings?
Well,
Nicole,
no.
you actually had a video on it, right?
Well, no, not,
Well,
Cedar Street was
Not Cedar
actually
Street.
a grant that was received, and we actually didn't know about it. Kathleen McNamara didn't let us know, because it wasn't put on the record. The CFO wasn't informed, so in order for us to not lose the grant, in August, we have to just move on it, and we know we need the ground taken care of, so that's what we're doing.
Got it, thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
Michael Lane, 51 First Street, Keyport. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I had an eye operation, so I'm going to be a little slow right now. Resolution 2023-183, which is the engineering expenses for the Cedar Street Park, and those numbers came in around $67,000. What percentage of the total grant is that $67,000?
Did you know that?
Yeah, it's within the 20%. This park program is close to, it's about $500,000 with all the grants that were received.
So it's 20%. That sounds good. Is there a reason that CME is doing it instead of our new engineering firm?
Because the design and the plans were already, it was conceptually done with CME, and it was the easiest way to move forward, being that we could lose the grant funds in another month and a half.
Thank you. Regarding Resolution 2023-187, which had to do with the Class 5 cannabis change. And when I read it, it seemed like there was a lot of involvement of borough staff to execute this change. In addition, we had to fund the generation of this resolution. So is that charge being on the taxpayers, or is that charged back to the cannabis? Pardon?
I'm asking him.
I'm not sure what the question is.
I'm not aware, so I'm filling in for the borough attorney obviously tonight. Typically, resolutions like that are just charged against the general fund.
Yeah.
It's not like a land use application where there's an escrow.
Well, this is a cannabis operation where the costs of the cannabis operations are supposed to be funded by the cannabis facilities. So I would suggest that this resolution be modified to indicate that the taxpayers are not paying for this, that this applicant will pay all the costs for the resolution and for all the staff work. If you read the details, there's a huge amount of staff work. Whole set of documentation being generated. Why is the taxpayer paying for this? It shouldn't come out of the general fund. I ask you to take that action tonight. on Resolution 2023-189, which has to do with,
That's the refund of the Keeper Senior Center.
oh, okay, it's the same issue. We have to pay for the resolution, we have to do staff work. Seems to me there should be a tag cost on this return of money. I know when I go to art centers and places like that and I don't use the ticket, I don't get my full amount back. So again, protect the taxpayer. And I think we took that action on a recent resolution having to do with water, that the person getting the refund should pay for the cost of developing the resolution and all the staff work. Regarding Resolution 2023-190, which has to do with
That's the renewal of the certain liquor.
oh, the liquor license.
Yes.
Thank you. This is for club licenses also. Has the Yacht Club, Keyport Yacht Club, been made aware that they're not on this list?
Michelle, would you- There's 2 pages.
I'm looking on the first.
Second.
Oh, there's a second page? All right.
Yacht Club's on there.
All right, my error, sorry. That's great. Regarding Resolution 2023-192, which has to do with, the 5-year tax abatement. I support 5-year tax abatement program. In the past, and maybe I missed the page, the tax assessor provided a documentation on what the taxes would be over 5 years and how it was an advantage to approve the 5-year tax abatement. Does that piece of paper exist now?
I do believe that the council was emailed the documentation provided by the assessor, yes.
But it wasn't posted.
Okay.
So we don't have, residents can't give an opinion. I assume this is positive from the borough's point of view.
Right. It's not, we're required to post the agenda, right? The packets go to the individual council members. I'm sure the council will review it and vote as they feel is the best for the interest of the town.
It's practice now to post all these resolutions that are on the agenda in the Borough of Keyport. And we've had that action for the last 4 or 5 years. So I hope we're not going backwards. So does the sheet of paper that it exists but it wasn't posted?
It does exist, Mr. Lane.
Pardon?
It does exist, Mr. Lane.
And the full council did receive it, the full governing body did receive it.
All right, so I can put an open request in for it? Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Elmer?
Elmer J. Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. Good evening, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Chief Torres, Borough Administrator Humphrey, and Borough Council. By the way, regarding your interview, you hit it right out of the park, Madam Mayor. Outstanding, excellent job.
Thank you.
Okay, and I believe overall you all do have the taxpayers' best interests at heart in the Borough of Keyport, as Mayor and this council. Resolution 2023-185, can you all explain that? The 457 plan agreement?
Mayor, if I could?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, that's just a resolution approving some amendments to the borough's 457 plan. It's like a 401k plan for the borough employees. It's just updating the plan to adhere to current IRS regulations.
Okay. And one more, Resolution 2023-192 with a 5-year tax abatement for 7 Teresa Avenue. What, can you explain this? Why are they getting this tax abatement?
It's an existing ordinance with the borough, so it's just following suit with regular practice.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Elmer. Anybody else?
Hello, Callie Galapo, 139 3rd Street, Unit 7. Thank you so much for all of your time. In regards to cannabis, in 2023, actually, I'm sorry, 2026, it is supposed to be an $82 billion industry. I think it was a very wise and smart decision for Keyport to bring it here. And although it is very new, and I know it's off to a slow start, I promise you it is not going to disappoint. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Patrick Moroni, 313 Main Street. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to, I guess, second some other comments about there being public input on any sort of parks, improvement projects. I understand, I guess, it's too late to do that for the Cedar Street Park, unfortunately.
You know what?
What? Yeah, go ahead.
It's actually not the full park project.
Okay.
It's just the part of the groundwork that has to get done.
Oh, I see. Okay. It's not the structures and stuff. Okay. So Beach Street Park, and I guess I think what Colette said was an interesting idea about using that spot. I think we should be open to all possibilities. But that grant doesn't seem that huge though for a park like that, right? I mean, it's $250,000, so I'm not sure what that really gets you. But anyways, this is one thing.
Thank you, Patrick.
Get you the same.
Anybody else? Okay, do we have a motion to close to the public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're going to go into the public hearing, adoption of the ordinance 2023-07, amending Newport Yacht Club property zoning designation. Michelle, will you read the ordinance by title?
This is an ordinance of the Borough of Keyport to amend the zoning map to zone block 94, lot 18, into the general marine commercial district GMC.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to open to the public? Motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Andrew Kelsey, 29 St. Peter's Place. Was this introduced at the last meeting?
When was that introduced?
It's on the bottom of the ordinance. It was introduced in April, maybe? March?
April.
Okay.
March 21st. March 21st.
Okay, thank you. How long has the Keyport Yacht Club been there? 27 years?
1908.
Oh, 1908?
Yeah.
All right, so over 100 years of at least the automobile era. They seem to operate for that long without this parking lot. So what they're asking you to do is to take this lot from being a residential zone to general marine commercial so they can put a parking lot on it. This is a beautiful waterfront lot worth a lot of money. We've got a housing shortage, and we're going to take a residential lot and make it a parking lot. That's going to cost the taxpayers of Keyport. So, do they pay tax on their lot? Are they
Are they exempt?
exempt?
I don't know, we can find out for you.
I mean, you guys should know that tonight because
They're assessed for more than $1 million.
okay, so they'll be paying at least some tax on a parking lot, but it won't be a residence where people will live and pay taxes that are far higher than what a parking lot would bring. Now, I haven't been by there recently, but the last time I saw it was just a gravel lot. I consider an eyesore on the waterfront. I mean, this waterfront park we have now used to be a gravel lot. And I think the change is beautiful. It's a place for people to be. I think it was a wise choice. I don't think we should be encouraging lots in this town to be turned into parking. I mean, it's happening over and over. We're losing ratables for parking. It's insane. And it doesn't look good. I mean, we just had, Mayor, you were just talking about how beautiful the town is. That lot does not look good. And I don't think it's going to look any better. So I encourage you to not approve this. It doesn't benefit anybody but the yacht club. If I was more prepared, I'd have more information about how many parking spaces are within walking distance. And I guarantee you there's tons, because they've been getting by for 100 years without that parking. So it's not a benefit for us. It's only a benefit for them. It hurts the taxpayers at the board. Please do not approve this zoning change.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. My name is Bob Rapinski. I am the Commodore of the Keyport Yacht Club, and I respectfully disagree with the previous commentator. First of all, with regard to beautification, if you all remember, that lot was pretty well overgrown. There were flower pots in the middle of the street. The house was in disrepair. We have taken that, and we have spent a significant amount of money besides purchasing it to remove the, I would consider, the eyesore of the house that was in bad shape. Got all the overgrowth taken off. We planted grass. So what we're trying to do is kind of to help the borough. And we don't want to have a big parking lot. We're going to spend $850,000 for the lot to pave it over and, you know, have cars parked there. The idea is for the pack of it where there's gravel to be overflow parking, because when we have events, which is not every day, but, you know, maybe in the summer once a month, maybe a little bit more, we take up spaces on the local streets. And so the idea is that we're going to park our cars there as an overflow parking lot when we have events. So that sort of helps the parking issue on the neighboring streets. We are committed to keeping the front of it open space. We want to have like a recreation area, you know, a beautiful waterfront area. So we're not asking to build a parking lot there, and we're not asking to have the town subsidize us. We pay our taxes, and the idea is, again, we want to make it look nice. We put a nice little fence up there. People mistake it for a park right now. They come in, they sit down and have their lunch, even though it says private property. So the idea is to keep the front open, to have that beautiful waterfront area that we want to use to enjoy, and want to use the back to have overflow parking. We're not going to have it, you know, we don't intend to park every day and to, you know, blacktop it and do anything other than use it for overflow parking when we have events, which again helps the rest of the neighborhood. I think we have cleaned it up to the point where a lot of the neighbors have commented and said thank you very much, because now they have waterfront view, which they didn't have before. So we're not planning on building a structure on there. We don't want to build a house. Understand, you know, it's own residential, but I think the town is better off with keeping it open and, you know, continuing the waterfront area. I mean, that's what Keyport's about. I mean, it sounds cliche, but I must say keep the port in Keyport. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're expanding the yacht club's footprint to keep it as a marine influence. I mean, people, I think, like seeing the sailboats. They like understanding that, hey, this was a maritime community, and it still is from what we do. So again, we're trying to help the town, I think. I mean, we bought this for two reasons: overflow parking and to have additional grassy space so we can have it for recreational areas. If we have, you know, we've had weddings where people are, you know, in the parking lot or on the dock, we would think that would be an appropriate use. But again, our position is not to make it worse for the town, not to just benefit us, but we believe we're benefiting the town. And yes, we got, you know, we like to have some extra overflow parking, and we'd like to have that use of a nice, beautiful waterfront in front of it. So that's our intent.
Thank you,
Okay, thanks.
Mike?
Michael Lane, 51 First Street, Keyport. The yacht club is a major financial contributor to Keyport. The property is assessed for over $1 million. The Borough Council, about 5 years ago, abandoned the end of Atlantic Street north of First Street. So, and the proposal that was before the council that was voted on to abandon Atlantic Street was to provide additional parking because of overflow into the neighborhood due to yacht club events. Every Wednesday night during the summer, the yacht club has sailboat racing. About 15, maybe 10 weekends during the summer, the yacht club has sailboat racing. The parking overflows on the First Street, overflows all the way down to Mike Palmisano's house and my house. So the parking needs to be fixed. And that was the intent when the yacht club when the borough gave First Street to the homeowners on both sides of the north end of Atlantic Street. And the side effect of that was the yacht club got half of Atlantic Street and the neighbor next door got the other half of Atlantic Street. So we actually lost parking. We used to have 45-degree parking angle in on both sides of the street when the borough owned the street. And when Lot 18 was given to the property owner, it became residential, and the borough staff said, you can't park there anymore. So we actually lost parking. Secondly, if you look at the borough ordinances and the land use requirements, very rigorous in terms of landscaping, setbacks from residential lots, and all those things will have to be enforced when the yacht club, once you approve this ordinance change to zone it general marine commercial, the yacht club has to go before the planning board with a site plan where they will have to delineate very well all the landscaping. They put a very nice fence along First Street, but they're going to have to put landscaping behind that fence. And so all that will be dealt with before the planning board. And from being a member of the yacht club, I know there's a very strong intent to have more than half the lot for recreational purposes. And so it's not going to be a massive parking lot. And it's got to conform to very rigorous requirements that we put in the land use requirements for all the general marine commercial sites. And this will be a really opportunity to show how well they work. I encourage you to take the action to keep the port in Keyport. And the port that's so obvious in Keyport is the sailboats in the harbor. And they are absolutely dependent on the yacht club. And one of the reasons the yacht club wants to expand is so that the small sailboats, which now have no place to go in the winter, can be stored in the back and where you won't see them. And so I encourage you to approve this ordinance to keep the port in Keyport.
Thank you, Michael. Joseph?
Joe Merla, 121st Street. I've been a neighbor of the Keyport Yacht Club for 60 years. I highly support the project.
Thank you. Kelly?
Clyde Kennedy, 421 Atlantic Street. I'm not giving an opinion either way. What's before you, mine is more of a process question, which I'm sure you guys are shocked at, right? In the past, when we had something like this, I know by statute for a zoning change, we don't have to do a 200-foot notification, but was there one done? Because we have been doing that when there was something like this before, so that the residents knew that this was going to be on tonight, that lived within 200 feet.
We did do that.
It was done, yes.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you. Jack?
Jack Strong, 225 Main Street. Excuse me. I agree with Mr. Lane in support of this. I have a related question. The General Marine Commercial District, that also includes the marinas? Are marinas in General Marine Commercial? Does anyone know?
Yes.
Okay, so the Keyport Yacht Club pays into the Keyport bid, the KBBC. For whatever reason, years and years ago, the marinas were excluded. I would recommend that the governing body take a look at including the marinas in the KBBC. They are commercial businesses. They're a big part of the commercial waterfront. The yacht club pays into the bid. I see no reason why the marinas shouldn't pay into the bid as well. Maybe the governing body can take a look into that.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
John?
Don, you want to go?
Oh, I'm sorry. No. Don Purcell, 396 Maple Place. I just want to also give my support to the Yacht Club project. I would much rather see that. Immediately when you think of like a giant house down there, you know, multi-million-dollar, just going to block the view, at least that'll still all be open. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
John Morella, 34 Broad Street. Has the zoning change, is there a recommendation, has the planning board made a recommendation?
They actually did. It's attached to the P&M.
It came before the planning board, we reviewed it, the engineers were in agreement that it was within the scope of the master plan and within.
So they're saying that the redevelopment plan and in master plan, it fits into that criteria?
Yes.
Okay. And when
Not redevelopment.
it includes the vacated street of Atlantic Street, and it includes the house that was adjacent to that vacated street, that's the area now that's all going to be general marine commercial, including the yacht club property, all 3 lots and blocks?
The yacht club is already, if I'm not mistaken, the yacht club is already general marine commercial.
Okay.
I can't speak to the street, but I know the lot adjacent where the house was is looking to go from residential to general marine commercial, which at the planning board we discussed is it's within the master plan and what we would like to see there if we were going to make a change.
Okay. I, like my brother, we grew up, we were born in the house 120, 61 years ago. We've been there for the yacht club. Yacht club has always been very good neighbors. Not the best, but they've been very good neighbors. Parking wise, you know, we had to deal with coming home and having cars parked in our driveway, but we dealt with it. But what I'd like to see is that, you know, Mr. Lane brought up something earlier, which, you know, maybe it's got some weight, and if he supports this project, maybe he'll go back. Since this ordinance change only benefits the yacht club, maybe the yacht club should foot the bill for the ordinance change. What's fair is fair. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anybody else? Ellen?
Elmer J. Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. With regard to this project, the Keyport Borough, Keyport Yacht Club. Look, Keyport Yacht Club's been in our beautiful borough for many years, and they've supported our beautiful borough, and they've done an outstanding job and everything like that. You know what? Let's give it to them. I support the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Anybody else? Motion to close? Second. All in favor? Aye. We have a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Motion.
Michelle, you want to do a roll call?
Was that Councilmember Riley?
No, it was the second.
Thank you, thank you. Councilmember Demarest?
Yes.
Councilmember Riley?
Yes.
Councilmember Vecchio?
Yes.
Councilmember Pepperoni?
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara.
Yes.
And Councilmember Davidson.
Yes.
Thank you.
You have a motion authorizing the clerk to publish the ordinance as adopted.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2023-172 to read the 2023 municipal budget by title. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Demarest.
Yes.
Councilmember Riley.
Yes.
Councilmember Vecchio.
Yes.
Councilmember Pepperoni.
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara.
Yes.
And Councilmember Davidson.
Yes.
Public hearing on the 2023 municipal budget. The clerk reads the budget by title.
This is the municipal budget of the Borough of Keyport, County of Monmouth, New Jersey for the year 2023.
Thank you. Before we open to the public, we're going to have Tom Fallon speak on the budget.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. I'd be happy to give a brief summary of the 2023 budget. Under appropriation and levy cap compliance, the budget is in compliance with both the appropriation cap and levy cap. It is $11,646 under the appropriation cap and $221,000 under the 2% levy cap. On the budget structure, overall the budget is a fiscally sound and responsible plan. The budget contains no gimmicks or structural issues. The budget provides necessary funding for all municipal services at current staffing levels and for continued investment in the borough's equipment and infrastructure. The budget allows for the regeneration of a majority of the surplus being utilized. The budget reflects the policies of the current administration and governing body, as well as those approved and put in place by prior administrations and governing bodies. On the revenue side, the borough is utilizing $850,000 in surplus to support the 2023 budget, which is $150,000 less than what was utilized in 2022. The borough's surplus balance at December 31st, 2022 is a healthy $1,017,000. It is important to maintain healthy reserves for cash flow, maintaining a strong bond rating, and protection against economic downturns. State aid has increased minimally for the first time in 14 years, from $714,000 to $719,000. In 2007, the borough received $1,250,000 in state aid, which was cut from 2008 through 2010 down to the $714,000, which we received for the next 13 years through 2022. So while certainly the borough's costs have increased over the past 14 years, state aid has not grown with it. On the appropriation side of the budget, some of the driving factors and highlights. Our total operating appropriations, exclusive of grant and library appropriations, have increased by 4.39% from $7,839,000 to $8,183,000, or $344,000. Total budgeted salaries and wages, which is a component of the operating expenses, have increased by $102,000 from $4,393,000 to $4,496,000, due primarily to contractual obligations. Total other operating expenses, exclusive of grants and library appropriations, have increased by 7.01%, or $240,000, from $3,445,000 to $3,687,000. Some of the appropriations that are driving that $240,000 increase in other expenses, operating expenses, are the appropriation for legal services has increased from last year by $86,000, due primarily to ongoing litigation. Liability and workers' comp insurance appropriations have increased by $37,000. Group health insurance increase of $44,000. The police retirement pension system contribution has increased by 9.6%, or $62,300, from $646,700 to $709,000. The public employees retirement system contribution has increased by $14,617 from $243,000 to $257,000. Both required pension contributions are actuarially based and calculated and billed to the borough by the state of New Jersey based upon the borough's pensionable salaries. So those 5 increases that I just noted total about $245,000, which accounts for the total increase in operating expenses. All other operating expenses in total have been pretty much held the same as in prior years. And those are items that we have more control over, other than these items that one is due to some litigation, the others are statutory in nature. So debt service has increased by $50,000 from 2022 to 2023. The additional debt service is for principal and interest on debt that was authorized in 2022. Permanent debt service will go down by $150,000 in 2024. Total debt service, however, will be affected by current year debt authorizations, and the borough continues to aggressively amortize its debt. The amount to be raised by taxation in the budget, exclusive of the library tax levy, because the library tax levy, although it's in our budget, is a separate tax. So the amount to be raised by taxation for municipal purposes, exclusive of the library tax levy, will increase by 5.89% from $7,653,269 to $8,103,719. This, however, will result in a reduction in the municipal tax rate of 5.4 cents per $100 in assessed valuation. So the tax rate will go from 84.1 cents in 2022 to 78.7 cents in 2023 per $100 in assessed valuation. Although the amount to be raised by taxation is increasing, the tax rate is decreasing due to an increase in the borough's net valuation taxable, or rateables. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Do you have any questions from the dais before we open it to the public? Do you have a motion to open to the public?
Motion.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody? John?
John Morello, 34 Broad. Tommy, on the revenue side, the uniform construction code fees were actually realized in cash last year over 100,000 more than anticipated, but we're anticipating in 2023 less than 2022. With all the new building finally coming to fruition, are we taking that into consideration?
Yeah, so we are anticipating more than we anticipated in 2022. So in 2022, we anticipated 173. We're anticipating 230 this year. We did realize $279,000 last year, but we need to be somewhat conservative in our revenue projections, because as I noted earlier, we are using $850,000 in surplus to balance the budget. You need to leave areas to regenerate that surplus. And one of the ways that we regenerate surplus is that we're conservative with our revenue projections, so that revenues generally come over what we've projected, helps regenerate that surplus. If you don't regenerate that surplus, you'll have a structural issue next year. So that's why we only increased it up to the 230. I did talk to the construction code department before I did that. I was comfortable with that number.
Okay, thank you. The same with the payment in lieu of taxes, the pilot program that the senior housing has. That goes up in nature also, though, a couple percentage points a year.
The Bethany Manor is a new pilot.
Yes.
I'm still waiting for that to settle down. It was last year was the first year of it. I'm waiting to get their true up for the year, as well as Oyster Bay. But again, we try to be conservative so that we can, get that excess revenue and let it generate surplus. We don't want to overestimate the revenues. That's where you run into trouble.
Understood.
Yep.
Which is good. One of the biggest concerns I have is the sharp increase in legal fees. Legal fees, from what we transferred this year, plus the monies that was owed last year, I just think that's an atrocious amount of money. The percentage that it's going up, and I know it's not this year, I know it's from prior year, but how do we, we got to stop that. I mean, it's just, it's a lot of money. It's a lot. That's a big. That's as big as the insurance
And it's
raises.
It definitely has to do with the cannabis litigation and some other litigation that we're actually working with on personnel.
Okay.
And it has been carried forward from last year, a good portion of it.
Yes. And I think there's just been some switching around with like recreation, like other expenses. Last year was, I think, put in other areas because this year it shows 20,000, whereas last year it showed 30. But it looks like the line items have been switched. Like parks and playgrounds, last year appropriated was 45,000. This year is 10.
We are utilizing more of the Open Space Trust Fund for some of the parks and playgrounds. We have paid off any debt associated with Open Space Trust, so it gives us a little more leeway with that.
Okay. And the fuel for motor vehicles, obviously, was, I know Council President had mentioned it a couple times last year. This is, for a small municipality, that's a big item, I think, and compared to last year, we're like going up $30,000. Same amount of vehicles, probably even maybe less, because there's less employees in public works, trucks and stuff. I just think that's, unless, are we at a fixed rate with our with our fuel for motor vehicles? We're not.
No, that's not possible. We pay market rate, but we don't pay taxes.
Right.
So we have a program where the taxes are stripped out. But yeah, so if you look at that line item, even though it looks, we budgeted 85,000 last year, we, didn't realize or didn't foresee it going up as much as it did, the cost of gas last year. So we ended up having to transfer some money into that appropriation to bring it to 111, and we spent 109 of that. So what we're budgeting this year is a little bit less than what we spent last year, because the cost has come down slightly.
Understood.
Yeah, but it is a lot.
Well,
yeah.
I just hope, I know you'll keep an eye on it, Tom, and I know our officials will. I just want to thank everybody for working hard on this budget, and those were the only concerns that I had. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Anybody else? Mike?
Mike Lane, 51 First Street, Keyport. I have a question, one of my questions on the budget has to do with the capital budget. And on sheet 40, in 8/11/17, the New Jersey Department of Transportation provided a pedestrian safety improvement grant for $569,000. We worked very hard to get that grant. The 2020-3 project for street improvements, TAP, Pedestrian Safety Improvement Program, was increased, and this is probably matching funds, to $1.1 million. And it lists the grant section at the same $569,000 that we procured. Mike Palmisano and the Environmental Commission and Steve Gallo and myself, we worked very hard to get that grant. But it hasn't happened. 2017 grant, and there's still no crosswalks on First Street. There's still no pedestrian curb cuts.
The amount that's in the budget this year, Mr. Lane, is for the final design for that pedestrian safety program. It's actually being budgeted in the grant section of the operating budget.
So it's no longer in the capital budget?
That's correct. It is part of the capital plan because it's required to, even though it's in the operating budget, but we put it in the operating budget because it's a direct reimbursement grant. I don't have to borrow and then get reimbursed for it. I get reimbursed. I'm sorry, I don't. The borough gets reimbursed as we go.
But what I don't understand is why the capital budget doesn't track this project number for multiple years. Instead, the project number changes every year, and it just sort of fades out of the capital budget, and it hasn't been executed.
Because last year, it was again, I don't, carry out policy. I just tell you how policy is financed. So, why the grant or the project has gone slowly, I can't tell you that, but I can tell you what's budgeted this year for it.
So we should expect that will happen this year?
Well, you're working on the design work for it.
They've already been approved to do the design, which is the final design. So that would be the final step before they can go out to bid for the project.
Right, and the project funding is what's in your,
Again,
the borough budget
the
this year.
$132,000 final design is appropriated in cash. So that is, again, the capital budget itself is just a plan. It has to be put into action somehow, either by an ordinance or appropriated in the budget. So for this year, $132,000 of that grant was appropriated in the budget for the final design. I would expect that that will be completed this year, and that an ordinance would be passed sometime in the future for the construction of that project, which will be included, again, probably in next year's capital budget.
And so we still don't have a final design. I can't tell you how many years First Street has had paint markings as to where the property lines are, where the curb cuts are to be. How many years? 2 or 3 years now. And we don't have a final design. I don't understand. I'm slow. This project is really slow. 2017,
I would agree with that.
we got the grant. No, I think we need an improvement in our capital budget process to track projects year over year with the same project number. Every year we flip the number and you gotta say, well, is that the same project? I don't know.
Yeah. I can see what you're saying there, but that's probably the only project we have that actually is not funded all at once. But we will consider that for next year. Thank you.
I'm sorry, from my business experience, you didn't change the project designation until you got it done. Relative to the appropriations for 2023, as you had indicated, we're increasing the appropriations from 11.7 million to 12.2 million. It's a $500,000 increase. It's about 4.2%. The summation that you gave, Tom, was fantastic. I wish it could have been available prior to the meeting, just as a note from the tax assessor. This is where things are. Because John, I know, studied the budget. I studied the budget. The tax levy, 2023, went from 7.95 million to 8.45 million, which is a $500,000 increase, and it's a 6.26% increase.
That includes the library, which is a separate tax, so that's why I don't report it like that. I only report the municipal tax, but yes, including the library, you're correct.
Right, but the tax bill I get includes the library.
Right, as a separate tax. It says a dedicated library tax.
It gets rolled up in your sheets as part of the total tax levy.
Yeah, I don't know why we have to do that, but that's the way it works.
Right. And so, information technology, what are we getting for the $40,000 new expense that's on sheet 12?
Yeah, that, if you look at that's a change that the new administrator wanted to make. The IT costs were lumped into the administrative other expense line item. If you look at the administrative other expense line item, last year it was like $71,000, and this year it's only $29,000, because we took the $40,000 and split the IT costs out separately, so that it's shown separately and it's a separate budget, not part of the administrative and executive budget.
So we're not upgrading?
No.
We just changed our accounting process?
Our budgeted line item process, that's correct, just to be a little more, just so it's not mixed into the A&A budget. A little bit easier to break out.
I see our engineering services went from 65K to 95K, 480, percentage-wise, 4.8%.
That has to do with a similar rearrangement of some appropriations in the budget. We changed consulting for our grant consultant, which used to be provided for in the administration, and we moved that to the engineering. It's an engineer now that's providing our grant consulting for $30,000. I believe it's $30,000 a year, the contract. So that's the increase in that line item.
The engineering services that I looked at went from 65,000 to 95,000.
Yeah.
48% increase.
Yeah, so the 30,000 was just moved from another line item. It was budgeted somewhere else last year and got moved because we changed consultants. We went from Millennium to CME as our grant consultants.
So how do council people really know what they're managing?
I don't understand that question.
That's why we need your report ahead of time, Tom.
Oh, all right. Sorry.
And written.
Next year.
And written, not verbal. The legal services went from 119,000 to 190,000, 72% increase. Was that just a line item relocation?
No, it was not. I mentioned that in my summation. That's the part of the litigation, mainly the litigation with regards to cannabis.
All right, and so that, in the future, that should go against the cannabis account. I thought we said we keep track of our revenue from cannabis so we could charge expenses to it.
Unfortunately, municipal finance in New Jersey, you can't charge expenses against a revenue like that. So you bring the revenue in, helps generate surplus, and then you have to appropriate, your spending has to be appropriated legally, budgetarily.
So to date, we haven't generated any cannabis revenue.
Last year we did receive some application fees. I forget, how much was it, 55 or?
35.
35,000.
Did that cover our legal services?
Not at all.
Not yet, we're hoping in the future.
Liability insurance, that went up quite a bit. Which caused that?
I had mentioned that the premium increase from our insurer.
Unfortunately, mine didn't go up that much. That's 19% year over year.
The food and fuel and utilities, that went up quite a bit, huge amount.
That's what John just actually said.
Yeah, so just to repeat,
Compared to what we had expended last year, it actually went down slightly.
And the public library expenses, is that just an accounting change, or is that significant, huge change?
Yeah, so the library again is money that is sent directly to the library to run their operations. And that's a calculation provided to the borough by the state of New Jersey. It's based upon our ratables.
Yeah, that went up 48% year over year.
48%? The library?
Yeah. I have 2 million.
Yeah, it should have went up. It did go up, but not that much. It went from 295,000 to 342,000.
I got it going up to 431,000.
You're talking about the maintenance of the Free Public Library?
I'm talking about all the library expenses. Okay. All right, just to summarize, I thought your summary, critical input, and I think it should be more than just a verbal report to council, but it should be a written report. And written report to also the residents of the town. So if you could do that going forward, that would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else? Jack?
Jack Straw, 235 Main Street. Just one quick one. Zoning board, other expenses, miscellaneous, 120% increase from 5,000 to 11,000. Anybody know what that is? Zoning board miscellaneous, not salaries.
5,000 to 11,000?
Yes.
You know, I know it's a big percentage, but it's a small amount, but I think it's a retainer, professional retainer. Because, Jack, what page you on?
20, sheet 14.
Yeah, so.
I don't need to know right now, just.
Yeah, I can get that to you, but I think if you look.
I owe you a phone call
to-
anyway.
Yes.
So I can tell you.
Yeah, if you notice, Jack, even though we had budgeted 5,000 last year, we had to transfer $6,000 into that line item.
So maybe it's to cover some of last year.
No, it isn't. I was just saying that 2022 really wasn't budgeted properly, is basically what I'm saying. It didn't account for a retainer from one of the professionals. And then we caught it during the year, made the transfer, but we budgeted properly this year.
Okay. Just want to make sure the governing body was aware of it, so, thank you.
Elmer J. Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. By the way, you all did an outstanding job in preparing this budget and stuff like that. Overall, it's good. My concern, I guess my concern is with the 6.26 increase in the property tax, assessment, abatement, and everything like that. But I can understand how, I can understand how you arrived at that. And by the way, your explanation, Mr. Fallon, was excellent. And with what you have to deal with and with what you and the mayor and the council inherited and stuff like that. So I can understand how my concerns with the 6.26 increase in the property taxes and stuff. But look, overall, it's a good budget, excellent budget. Is there any money in this budget for veterans programs overall?
We have a very tight budget this year. We have a very tight budget.
Yeah, right.
But we are working with the American Legion over there also. So maybe there's something, but it's very tight.
Okay.
I would like to do a Hometown Heroes, but that's a contribution that comes from a donation. So that might be an opportunity. I'm speaking with them.
Yeah, and maybe you could all do that in future budgets and stuff. And there also is there, I don't think there is, but is there any money towards Alzheimer's in this budget, dealing with Alzheimer's disease and stuff like that in this budget?
Elmer, the senior center actually is going to be having programs with Alzheimer's,
Right.
so I would say yes to that. yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Danny?
Dennis Fotopoulos, 77 Beer Street. Mr. Fallon, I want to congratulate you again on a well-kept budget. I want to congratulate the administrator, and also want to recognize the council. I know how hard it is to bring a budget forth, and year over year, the constant is always Mr. Fallon that guides us as not just individuals on the dais, but also individuals in the town. And I know that there's always, and there will continue to be, a penchant to, I've heard it 3 times already tonight, to blame previous administrations for current budgetary issues. As things go on, as time goes on, we all stand, I've said it before, we all stand on the shoulders of our predecessors. And while there were things that we might have disagreed about, right, as time goes on and the dais changes, it's policy that always establishes what the budget is going to look like moving forward outside the statutory expenses that occur. So I know how difficult it is. Mayor, you know how difficult it is. Last year, you were the chair of the Finance Committee, and we had an incredible increase last year. It was huge, but there was a reason for that, right? I'm not saying that we shouldn't keep an eye on keeping the taxes low, but we also, not just when we're talking about spending, we also have to continue consider revenues as well. And just one other comment about this, because I think that smart growth and smart building in the town, we've talked about that in the past, is an opportunity for us to bring revenue into the town. I know that cannabis is an opportunity to bring revenue into the town. And I know that the dispensary that we're bringing in, the dispensary and maybe dispensaries that we're bringing in are going to benefit the borough. And in addition to that, any other opportunity we have to bring other classes of cannabis into the borough, we should look at very closely as well. Because this $70,000 lawyer's bill that we're experiencing right now is going to long be forgotten once we start enjoying the revenue brought in by cannabis.
I think that's what we're hoping.
I mean, we're all hoping for that, and the evidence shows that that's what's going to occur. If we can get out of our own way, right? And if we can get through these lawsuits. And finally, I think that this particular budget that's so tight presents us with an opportunity to reconsider the way we speak about tax abatements. And we need to educate the public honestly and openly about the benefit of certain tax abatements within the borough. Okay? It doesn't have to happen all the time, but we need to focus on bringing good, proper development into town, and in order to do that, we need to provide at least some incentive. I'm not talking about pilot programs, but the 5-year tax abatement is certainly something that we should always consider as we think about the kind of development that's coming into the town. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anybody else? Patrick?
Patrick Maroney, 313 Main Street. I was wondering, Tommy, if you could just say what the new versus the old property tax rate is. I'm just trying to get my head around that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the new, and it's just municipal rate, which is what we're able to control. The new rate would be 78.7 cents per $100 on assessed valuation, and the old rate was 84.1 cents. So it would be a reduction of 5.4 cents.
Okay, what's that as a percentage?
5.4 divided by 84, I don't know if that give you like 6 or 7%, is that about right?
Okay.
Yeah, about 6.5, 7.
Gotcha, all right. So, I mean, I'm seeing, I guess everybody is, I don't know if this is across the board, but it's like last year there was a 12% increase in my property value. This year there was a 12% increase in my property value,
So the way
it's not gonna offset that.
So the way that would work, right? So again, this is, we're not the full party of property tax bill, we're just a portion of it, but you're right. So if this is a 7%, let's just round it, say this is a 7% decrease in the tax rate, and your assessment went up 7%, then basically you're zero, you're flat. If your assessment went up 12%, then your taxes, your municipal taxes are going to go up 5%. If it went up 9%, your municipal taxes are going to go up 2%. So everyone's going to be a little different depending on how that reassessment, that annual reassessment affected you.
Okay.
Yeah, so all taxpayers are actually going to be different. If your assessment stayed the same, hey, you're going to go down 7%. Yeah, but I don't know how many people actually stayed the same. Probably not many.
I mean, like, coming here definitely does help to, give me confidence in the budget and, just seeing like, oh, the whole thing's going up, 6%, it makes you think like there's irresponsibility and stuff like that. But I can hear from people's comments that, it does seem to be pretty solid. Is this going to be a trend of like, it seems like we can't control these pensions and the healthcare? I mean, is this just going to keep happening every year? And now we just need more revenue? Like, there's just no way to control it?
No, I think each year kind of stands on its own.
Different, so
We don't know what, I could tell you that the pensions are going to go up. The pensions that we're paying this year are based upon pensionable salaries from 2 years ago. So to the extent that police salary and wages go up and other employee salaries go up, our pension payments are going to go up, because not only is our pensionable salaries going up, but the state continues to increase our contribution rate. This year, on the police side, it's almost 36, 37% of their salary goes into the pension. And on the other employees, it's still considerable. It's like 14 or 15%. So not only are you increasing salaries, but the state is constantly increasing the percentage of those salaries that we're paying into the contribution. So I wouldn't expect any real pension relief. I know we're looking at areas to insurance, health insurance, anything that we can do. Obviously, the taxpayers are always the first priority. And if you look back, I mean, we went many, many years increasing taxes, I'd say 7 or 8 years in a row, between 1.5% and 2% each year, even 1% to 2%. And, it kind of just, and it was very responsible. But the costs have really, I guess, everyone's really experiencing it, and municipalities no different. Costs have increased substantially over the last 3 or 4 years.
Okay, I think it's a good idea that, that Mike mentioned, having a written summary that, everybody in the community can read,
I think that's a good idea. And, when we put together the budget with the finance committee, the administrator, so it was a group effort. Everyone knew what was going on. It's not like we put the budget together and said, here you go.
Yeah, but that's what probably a lot of the people in the borough, think. But if there's something they can read, it's like, all right, these guys have their stuff together.
And
it's not so bad.
Even when the budget was completed and in final draft form, it was disseminated to the council with a lengthy memo from myself and the administrator explaining everything. So we did do that in-house. But I can understand having something for the public as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Clay Kennedy, 421 Annex Street. Just a couple follow-up questions from when I was here last time, and I said that I would ask these questions tonight. Do we have a number on how much we brought in from the FEMA reimbursement from COVID expenses? Because that was supposed to be submitted last year.
It was not submitted to FEMA at all.
Do we have an answer as to why? Not from you.
Well, I think Jay looked at it. My understanding, because he was the one that was going to be responsible for doing it, and he found that there was no significant expenses that we had that were not reimbursed through the county rescue plan funds.
That is absolutely not accurate, and I was willing to provide all the information to you guys last year, but you guys
Well,
wouldn't
then
come
you
to
should
the
have
table.
provided it to Jay.
He had it all.
You did?
Yeah.
I don't know why he didn't move forward with it then.
I'm not sure either, but it, it was also before Jay, so I know I provided all that information. So anyway, so that's a negative now, that's not coming into our budget?
No.
Okay. And on the line item for Mayor's Wellness Campaign, my understanding is that a borough didn't submit for that this year with the New Jersey Healthcare Quality Institute. So if we're not moving forward with that application, then why are we funding $1,500 for the Mayor's Wellness Campaign if we're not part of that program?
You can still
Yeah.
run Mayor's Wellness.
Yeah, we just
You're not
didn't
part
get
of
to it
that
just yet,
campaign.
but we still will.
Okay, I didn't know if we weren't applying, if you guys weren't focusing on that. And then I see that it's saying that there was no money taken out of that line item last year, that it was $1,500 remaining. There were several things that we did with programming with that last year, so I don't know why that wasn't billed to that line item.
That would be whoever did the requisition didn't charge that line item.
The governing body doesn't see the requisition, so therefore I never saw the requisition, so I think there's a process that's falling through the roof here, so that might want to be checked and verified.
Well, I think that, just so that everybody knows, as Kim is here as the Borough Administrator, she's also finding a lot of things that were not done prior.
Oh, I agree.
That needs to be, and she's actually doing everything.
Great.
Including petty cash, which is something that we should never have.
Correct.
So that's extremely important because I don't know how much we've spent on petty cash, but that should not have been
Yeah, there was a lot of processes, I agree, that weren't followed or in place, I agree. And then, for the storm drain, last year, just to catch you up, I know there's 4 council members that are aware from last year and from communications this year. So there's been an ongoing issue with a storm line that's collapsed over in the Main Street area that causes significant flooding when we have heavy and torrential rains, and that infiltrates into going across town, and then it goes and blocks the sewer line from being able to flow. And if it's a heavy rain, it can go anywhere from to any time after a heavy rain, 24 hours to 72 hours, where residents on the south side of town can't shower or do any laundry. So it took years to get to the bottom of what that was, and it was identified last year after the budget was adopted. So they took out, they tried to get a New Jersey DOT grant. No, it wasn't DOT. It was DOT, which was not approved, and that was because they felt it was an emergency nature, that they couldn't wait till this year's budget to get it addressed, and it was a $150,000 repair to fix the collapsed storm drain. And that affects so many people in our municipality, some of which realize that it's due to a borough issue, and some that just keep calling Apollo and having their own basements cleaned out, and it's really a borough issue and not their own. So I just want to know, we've talked about it at the last meeting, many of you have the documentation, this is an 8-year ongoing topic that we finally got to the bottom of last year. Is that money in this budget to fix this?
Well, we have a capital line item, right, where we have down payment money if we create an ordinance. So is it a capital outlay? No. But if we decide to create an ordinance to do a project, then we have it there. We also have the sewer operator. He's working on something right now as well. We've just actually met on it today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Motion to close to public?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2023-173, self-examination of the budget. Do you have a motion? Motion. Second.
Second.
Michelle, roll call.
Councilmember Demarest.
Yes.
Councilmember Riley.
Yes.
Councilmember Vecchia.
Yes.
Councilmember Pepperoni.
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara.
Yes.
And Councilmember Davidson.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I just want the public to know that we're not adopting the budget tonight. We're going to have a separate meeting to adopt the budget because it has to be publicized in the newspaper. And we'll let everybody know on our website. Okay, do we have any questions from the dais regarding the consent agenda before we open?
No surprise here, and with so many items on here, I have a lot, so I'll try to go through. Some of them I think I self-answered, but I'm just looking for clarification. Tom, there's a resolution on here accepting the Clean Communities Program money. I know there's a line item, and I'm assuming that just goes right in there. It's like $17,000, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that, I can see where that goes. And then the stormwater assistance grant is another one where we're asking for, to be able to put in the budget. Where does that end up going?
So those are both part of the grant section of the budget, so there's a revenue and appropriation, so there's no effect on the budget. But those actually were removed for this evening because we can't,
Oh, right.
we can't pass those.
Right, sorry.
We expected to adopt the budget this evening, but there was an issue with some publications, so we have to take care of that. Once we adopt the budget, we then can pass those, so, yeah.
Okay, and then the Cedar Street Park ones, I think I heard it come up a couple of times here, but I would hope that we have some sort of a community input session. I know there are residents over there who have been vocal for as long as the I'm on council, if not before. And I guess
Just so you know, I think that is part of the plan with the workshop meetings that we're gonna have.
Okay, so the equipment that's in here for $135,000
This
is
is-
not being purchased, or
So
it is?
there is flooring that has to be, it's not anything that we would have many options for, so that's what we're utilizing, so that way we can get that grant that we have gotten, that way we can utilize that grant and not lose that money.
Okay, I just want to be sure that that structure that's in here.
It's not the hard structure.
Is
Right.
not, well, okay, nobody made a decision that that's the play structure, the one that's in here. Okay. And as I said, hopefully we can do something because there are a lot of people interested. And the Ford truck, I know that was an ordinance from last year. I thought there was some back and forth about what size dump truck we needed and how much money it was. Did anybody look at the dialogue from
Yeah,
that?
last year, I do remember them saying that they weren't sure which truck they were going to purchase.
Yeah, so
And
the
now they know.
mechanic and the actual superintendent, they met and they came up with what they needed and it was available, which we were lucky for as well.
So you're comfortable with their decision?
Yeah, I am.
The kayak storage locker rental fee, did we release that locker out? There was a
Yes.
locker? Okay, so it went to like the next person in the lottery?
We redrew the lot.
And then, we have a couple of salary rate increases, I guess, in the DPW world. And I know you've only been here a couple of months, so I'm just curious, like, what that process has been. Like, have there been reviews, evaluations, you know?
There is a policy that's already set through collective bargaining agreements and civil service, so these are contractual. There is a step program that you do reach once you do get past that part. We're updating civil service as well, so this is just what we
So these are not with any kind of reviews or performance things, this is just
Contractual.
contractual.
And then I know that we're having the car and blue show on Thursday. Is the farmer's market canceled? Because I saw that the police put up that the fireman's lot is closed because we're gonna have the overflow. So has anybody notified the farmer's market that we need that parking?
They're in discussion, KBBC is in discussion with.
Okay, because that's 2 days away.
Yeah.
I'm sure those vendors would appreciate notice if they're not going to be there. And then I know that there was something the borough had put up about changing the yard sale when we had the smoke condition. But so now there's going to be a second one?
Yeah, they had advised us, Councilman, regarding the yard sale, due to the air conditioning, the air condition that day, they didn't have as many people out. So they requested another date.
All right, because I walked around, I saw a ton of people. So, I mean, all right. I think that's it for me right now.
Thank you, Council President. So just real fast, Resolution 202, the Bayshore Buccaneers to solicit donations. I know these are children. I'm hoping that there's going to be adults supervising them in the roadways and no children are allowed. Like, how does that work when there's kids involved with soliciting funds within the streets?
That should be something that should be addressed. I did see it also in another area in another town, and the kids were actually sitting on the middle of the line, so it is kind of important to address that. So maybe that should be a stipulation of the approval if we do the approval.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I guess we would.
Yeah.
What else? Engineers, so we already talked about. In regards to the comments that have come up today about trying to regroup some fees, or money, I guess, when it comes to the cannabis name change and the money it's costing for all these things, do we have the ability to charge back somehow without an ordinance, with an ordinance? How would that work if we wanted to have that discussion?
There's no escrow for those types of things. It's charged against the general fund. It's not like it's a land use application. And I'm not aware of any statutory basis to charge back a cannabis applicant for any of those costs.
So that would be something, if we wanted to change something, we would have to put something in place to change it down the road?
I don't know if we could
Or
establish
we're not
it.
able to do it at all?
I'll have to consult with the borough attorney and determine and see if she's done any research on that particular topic. As we sit here now, I'm not aware of any statutory basis, because remember, with the cannabis area, the statute preempts everything, so I'm not aware of a statutory basis to do that kind of charge back.
Okay. Just wanted to address it, being it's come up quite a few times tonight. That is all my other questions have been answered.
Thank you. Any other council member? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve resolution 2023-174 through 2023-207, removing 2023-177, 178, 193.
I'll make the motion. Can we also include amending resolution 2023-202 to have some sort of language in there that addresses children in the roadway?
Do we have a second? Second. Michelle, you want to do a roll call?
I'm sorry, who made that second? Me. Thank you. You both sound the same to me, it's hard to tell. Thank you. Councilmember Demarest.
Yes.
Councilmember Riley.
Yes.
Councilmember Vecchio.
Yes.
Councilmember Pepperoni.
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara.
Yes.
And Councilmember Davidson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Reports, municipal clerk's report for May 2023, tax water sewer collector's report, May 2023, Board of Health treasurer's report, May 2023, building department report, May 2023, municipal court report, May 2023. Do we have a motion?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're going to go to days updates. I'm going to ask Chief Torres, do you have anything?
No update.
Thank you. We're going to also include Paul Murphy, code enforcement. Paul, do you have an update? Sure.
Just want to give a brief update on property maintenance, code enforcement. Property maintenance is a rather dynamic field and position, right? We see a lot of stuff, we're out in the field, we see a lot of stuff that's out there that crosses borders into other departments. On the flip side, we get a lot of stuff that nobody knows how to handle, ends up at our feet at our desk, all right? So we have to take it, we have to find out how it got to us, and then find out who needs to take care of it, how it got to us, who needs to take care of it, how it got to us, and if it should have gone somewhere else, all right? So by working with other departments, right, I need to thank the other departments I work with, from police to construction, to the staff in the office, to administration, to mayor and council, every department, honestly, we have to work with, because we cross so many of those fields that we see when we're out, and other different issues that come up. 6 months into the year, 7 months into the year, some of the biggest issues that we've seen, fences, sheds, garages, and vehicles, boats and cars, all right? Boats and cars is a good example of one that crosses over into the police department. Whose boat is it, whose car is it, where is it at? Is it on the street, is it in public property? And then who's gonna take care of it, all right? And grass. Property maintenance is a lot more than high grass. High grass is a basic function of property ownership or being a resident, right? You have to keep your grass cut. It's a very simple thing. Please do it. The more time that we spend out telling people and trying to enforcing people to cut their grass, the less time we have to put into more quality of life type things, like sidewalks and like garbage. Garbage. We're working on a couple different ways to make it better. Garbage is a lot more than running around chasing people, throwing ordinances at them, right? If you're running around throwing ordinances at people all day long, and the garbage keeps going out, you haven't solved the problem, you've just thrown ordinances at it. We're trying to find different solutions, different ways to be proactive and reactive, because garbage and the management of it have to be both, all right? Questions, comments, my email is online. Anybody has anything, anytime, my email's on there. Shoot me questions, comments. We'll get back and answer your questions as best we can and move forward in a better, safer, and cleaner direction. Thank you. Thank you.
Paul, I have a question.
Sure.
I know that a lot of residents have been complaining about the businesses and also residents leaving bags outside the garbage. Now, you and I had a discussion. What was the reason that we couldn't enforce that so that everybody understands?
So, part of adopting ordinances, right, mayor and council can adopt an ordinance. If that ordinance doesn't get passed to the municipal court, can't write summonses on it. So some of the stuff that we are doing as we go through the ordinance book and come up with issues and processes and policies, as we flag it, we're flagging issues that come up and making corrections to them. Part of that is the changes to ordinances. Right, the tree ordinance is 1972. Parts of the garbage ordinance weren't in the municipal court process, so I couldn't write tickets against it.
But it was submitted in 2020 or approved by the council, just never made its way down to the courts.
Which happens.
Yeah, so that's why we couldn't enforce. I just wanted everybody to understand.
Yep, so court, we've corrected those issues, and there's now open flowing communication between the court and legal, who has to go and be involved in that, and stuff like that is being addressed as it comes up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question regarding that? Sure. We have an issue on
Can you
our...
get up and...
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and state your name and address, please.
Liz Dinnigan, 213 First Street. We live across the street from a complex of apartments, and they like to deploy their fireworks right in front of our house. And this is going on for years. That because
property maintenance issue.
No, but it is because the debris that lands blows up against my house, and this has been driving me crazy for so many years, and I get stuck having to...
So not probably maintenance
Yeah,
issue,
still,
it's a
please,
fire
no,
safety
that's
issue, or police
dangerous,
issue.
it's a dangerous situation. You need to call us when that's happening.
Okay, because we have been traveling during that time because it's so stressful to have them, and they're legal, and they're not crazy height, but they go down, they're in our
If there's
apartment.
something that's gonna start a fire on your house, that's a different story, just give us a call.
Okay.
Let one of us go check it out, document it, at least it's documented if
I'll have
nothing
it on
else.
my ring camera.
Let them check it out, and not during while it's happening. If you see it during your ring and it's happening, give us a call.
Okay.
We'll go over there, it starts a paper trail, it documents that it's happening. One of the officers will go over and take a look and document what they have. If summons is warranted, they will issue, or they'll decide what to do from there.
It's just frustrating because you're in a corner
Yeah.
and we're downwind and it's everywhere.
I'd also like to mention to everybody, there's an issue if you see something that's a police matter. It's really important to reach out to our police so it's a matter of record. I know many of you, or many of the residents, like to send me a message with a picture and a little note, and I love them, but I still have to go through the process of calling them in so that the borough, the police department actually receives the information. So it is very important for everybody, if you see something directed to the police department, please give them a call. You can still send it to me, but Chief Torres actually would need it in her staff.
Just to reinforce what was just said, there is a trail of evidence. Every time you send something like that, then what has to happen is now it goes from there, it goes to the PD. We encourage you, 2640706, it's a non-emergency line. You're going to speak to an operator, and they're going to say, what's the issue? And you just let them know. If you'd like to speak to an officer, you say that. But we encourage you because it starts a trail of how this got called in. If you wish to remain anonymous, you can say that too. But sending the pictures to outside the PD and then them having to send, we just have to trace it back now where that came from. So I spent time asking a council member, an administrator, who sent you that? Okay, let's call them. Now, why did you send that there? Send it to us also. And then we have to document actually where that was sent. So it's just way easier when it's happening instead of us having to try to dig after the fact. If you guys could call us. We welcome the calls. You're never bothering us. That's what we're here to do. We'd rather have the phone calls from you guys, and you can always ask to speak to an officer anytime. Thank you, and thank you for that.
Thank you. Anybody else before? Okay. Derek, finally, get to speak.
It's been a long meeting. I'll be brief. The main update I want to give you is on Church Street, New Jersey Natural Gas. They've completed their line work in the laterals now. They're just allowing the trenches to settle. They should be back out in July, hopefully, to mill and overlay. The roads are put in final condition. We're staying in communication with them to make sure they do that.
Also, we have an issue with Broad Street, right? With the smell.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's important to understand.
So there was an odor that was on Broad Street, and it turns out that what it is, it's the storm drain, it's the outfall. We tried to jet it with our jet was not powerful enough, so the county came out, they jetted it, and they said there was a wonderful amount of mussels, crabs, shrimp, seaweed, so that was the smell that was coming. I did go out on location, and once you hit the middle of the street, you smelled it. It was definitely not nice. But what's going to happen is we actually have that outfall pipe. I think it's 3/4 the way filled, right?
Yeah, I actually was out there with Monmouth County, and it's 3/4 of the way filled with sand. That outfall pipe should really be from 6 to 10 feet higher than what it is. But due to the beach coming in and the sand coming in, we haven't dredged that in many years. So it does need to be done, but it's an expensive cost.
Yeah, and I put up just quotes. Actually, Colliers sent me different dredge companies to contact.
Also, while we're speaking, can we talk about the water main break, just so that everybody knows we have that water main break?
Yeah, well, I don't remember the address, but early Atlantic. It was Atlantic. Yeah, it was Atlantic, but the other side was Atlantic. Right, yeah. And it was taken care of. Luckily, our valve, there was also one Sandpiper. That's the one you were thinking about? Yes, that's the one. And it turns out that, we had to make the repair. Luckily, the valve worked. So they were able to stop the water, but they did have to make a repair, even though it was in a development, the borough had an easement and we own that, that infrastructure and we needed to do the repair.
And it was on the resolution for approval, correct?
Yeah.
Mayor, quick question on that one. Did that have anything to do with the previous water main break that we had last year that went down Beer Street that affected San Francisco? Completely unrelated?
Yeah, we checked it. But we were nervous being that valve had an issue, right?
Right.
So we weren't sure if that valve was gonna be able to shut off everything, but it worked out.
Okay.
It went better than what it could have.
Thank you.
Derek, you have anything else? So that everybody knows, Derek does have an engineering report, but we just received it, so the dais is, going through it before, he brings it out to everybody. So possibly for the July meeting, we can have a little bit more for everybody. Michelle, you have anything? Yeah. Motion to open the meeting to the public?
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Anybody?
Andrew Kelsey, 20 St. Peter's Place. Just wondering when those curb ramps are gonna get installed over at Broad Street where it was all paved. Any news on that? There's some that weren't redone that we're still waiting to be done.
Are those the ones you asked about prior?
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of times. Bob actually went out to look at it. There's another engineer that went out to look at it. So just give me an email, shoot me an email to remind me to get in touch with you and see what Bob came up with. There's certain ones that have to be reset over,
I'm asking about the ones that were never done.
Ah.
But I do want to know about the ones, I was going to ask
there
about
are
the ones that
have
get
to
flooded.
be reset. Bob from Colliers did look at that. But the ones that have to get done, that would be a next round of grant application.
That I don't understand, because don't we need to replace those when it's repaved?
It should be
Not
done.
replaced, but done.
Well, when you do a paving job, they're usually customarily done.
So, that's to comply with the ADA. So why is that not being done? Why weren't those done? I mean, we spent money to replace curb ramps that we already had, to bring them, I assume, up to the latest requirements. But we're missing all these curb ramps between the senior towers and the CVS, and they weren't done at all. But it's okay to not do those and to replace ramps that we already had.
Right, so I do understand what you're saying. So what sometimes happens is if there's a grant that's put out, that's why they can replace ones that already have existed. But I'm gonna look into can you email the exact locations of those programs? I wasn't here. You brought it up when I was actually getting the resolution.
No, I was bringing this up before you worked.
Yeah, but yeah, so if you
So-
can send me the locations,
And I know Derek had said that they were gonna be done, they just haven't been done yet.
That's
So
what I'm
is that
thinking.
not-
I think it's a project that's not closed out. That's why if you could send me the locations, I'll look and see if it's a project that's being completed.
Yeah, there's a few different projects, and there is one that's not closed out and they have to be done.
Yeah.
And if that's what they do on the
That's the
same
Broad
one.
Yeah, Broad Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's not closed out yet.
Yeah, I believe that is on the punch list, and we've been trying to work to push that through.
Okay. And then, I think you started to tell me about the ones that are flooding, so they're gonna get
Bob took a look at
Yeah.
that. Yeah, so Colliers took a look at that, and they're gonna come to me with the different options that we have. It's not cheap.
Yeah, it's dying.
Why are we paying for it? I mean, it doesn't take rocket science to know those things are gonna flood before you put them in. We shouldn't be putting landings at street level for curb ramps, and that's what they are, they're landings. They're basically flat. I'm asking, I mean, why are we paying for that? Who's responsible for that design and
Yeah,
that
is that
execution?
part of the previous engineer design? That's.
Yeah, I
don't want to say, I don't
I don't
know
know
what
who
the
designed
grading
it.
plans are, I don't know what the infrastructure for the stormwater is. through your stormwater system, your main lines, they actually run under properties without easements, so there's certain things that
Yeah,
can't be.
everything you're saying has nothing to do with these curb ramps that are flooding because
Well,
they're
it does
flat.
though, because that means they're not making it to the storm drain as well, and they
No,
even make it to the
no.
storm drain, it's
No,
not gonna flood out.
I know what you're saying is not accurate.
Okay.
Okay, I understand what level is and how water flows, and whether or not they're making it to the storm drain, they still flood tremendously when it rains.
Okay, how about Kim and Derek, and you were...
So, you know, I'd appreciate if the council would follow this through, because that's a major blunder in design, and I don't think the borough should be responsible to pay for the repairs. It's easily seen, you know, to have a 2% grade up from the gutter. Of course water's gonna go into it. So, I'd be happy to show everybody with a level of what it all looks like and how water flows and everything. It's not hard to understand. So,
Thank you.
Just send me those addresses. You have my email, right?
yeah.
Anybody else?
Liz Finnegan, 213 First Street. I know this has been an issue forever. I live on First Street, and the kids are out on their bikes in droves now, and I know we have done everything we can with the speed limits and trying to get the cars to slow down, but JoJo even sees me working on my curb. The cars are flying, and it's so bad at like 6 or 7 in the morning when I'm out there watering the lawn because it's quiet. So they use it as like a racing strip, but I don't even know what to say or what to even suggest, but, and now with all the traffic going, because I'm on the corner of where Terry Park is, so there's a lot of traffic.
Because I know where you live.
No, I don't, I'm just saying. But I don't even know what to do about enforcement or
I think
whatever.
that the chief and I can meet and we can discuss a plan to come up with.
Because even that, whoever was talking about the crosswalks, it hasn't been paved in years. The one right by my house on Waverly, like that's a great spot because they pick up speed coming around that straightaway. And I don't know, I'm afraid these kids are gonna get hurt. They're all out on their bikes all over the place and they stay in the street. And I don't know, I just feel like somebody's gonna get agitated and just take it to another level.
One second. Hey, Kim, you also checked back with county. I know that they said that, you know, they had evaluated First Street, but I mean, should we have them come out to reevaluate the specific times that we're having issues? And maybe it needs a speed bump, or maybe there's something that they
So,
can
well,
do.
the county would usually not, they will not put speed bumps in. I can tell you that, coming from the county, they're not gonna put speed bumps in. But we can ask for a traffic study.
They've done,
And we can ask again.
Yeah.
My other suggestion would be is that the county commissioners, they have meetings, they have public meetings just like here. And, you know, go and voice it.
Okay, I just like to be
But I mean,
proactive.
I'll speak with the chief.
Yeah, because they had advised us last time, no, but maybe we should reach out again and just say, we are still having a continuous problem. And, you know, as much as we enforce it, if a police officer's not there, they're going to continue with the speeding.
And along those lines, having a reactive dog, I have to get up at the crack of dawn to walk him. So I see all the weird stuff that goes on down at Terry Park first thing in the morning, which is people sleeping on the beach. Coming up, I haven't seen it yet this year, but in past years I have, just so you're aware. And they come and shower in the kayak.
Okay, so with that, Chief, can you address I know that there's a big issue with homeless that's actually coming into
It makes me so
Keyport,
sad.
but it's
yeah.
not just Keyport.
No, I'm not saying it is, I just,
But
people need help.
we're actually working on an ordinance for that.
Okay.
So currently, we're working to develop some ordinances that can help us with, on an enforcement level. On a statewide level, the state chiefs meet, the county chiefs meet. We've been all discussing similar issues and working to try to develop some ordinances locally that can help us with enforcement. When it comes to somebody that's possibly in the streets, whatever the reason, it may not be homeless, it may be other reasons.
Right.
There are some resources that we use. Everybody has same rights. If they're not committing a crime, they're not committing a crime.
Right.
but we do need the ordinances in place to help us for the enforcement ways, so
Right.
we're
And I'm
working
just
on
so
that.
Sorry for these people that, they're sleeping
But
in the closet.
I mean, if you see something like that, we do have an assessment process that we use with every individual.
Okay.
And I can tell you every person's name, I can tell you every person's, but we use an assessment process and we use it the same. I'll say it's same throughout the state. We all do the same things because we all meet. So the neighboring town isn't running someone out and we're not. That's not the way it goes.
Right.
There is an assessment process. Each person is an individual with different needs, different reasons why. Just because you see someone outside doesn't necessarily mean they're homeless either, so.
Right. That's fair.
Okay,
It's just
but
the
call us.
showering and the
Again, I'm
closet.
gonna say, I keep saying, give us a call.
I do. I'm the most annoying caller. I'm turning it to
I
my
didn't
father.
think-
Let's just get that on record. Another issue is down to keep the kayak ramp. At the end, we have a proliferation of the trees of heaven, which are like the host trees for the lantern flies. And we had such a problem at the park last year, and I was just hoping, I don't know, DPW or whoever is responsible for that, for taking them down so that we can minimize the problem down there. But they're all at the ends of the kayak ramp on the right. Off-leash dog walking, everywhere, I see it. And again, I never would notice this, but when you have a 90-pound pit bull who is reactive and very strong, gentle, but reactive and strong, I get terrified that something is going to go wrong. And I'm constantly calling people out, and it's a horrible feeling to have to yell at somebody and say, what are you doing? Like, this is, and they're like, my dog is fine. But I'm
So
like,
there's a law for that, and there's an ordinance in place, but we
But by the
won't
time
know
you
it's
call, they're
happening.
gone. You know what I mean? They move so quickly with the dog, or I'll be like, they'll see me holding him, and they just kind of walk.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Well, when you see it coming, if you just give us a call, that would be the best thing. I mean, we know, at least, even if we don't catch it right then and there, maybe we know who it is. We know most of our residents.
Right.
Most of us have been here a long time policing. It's a small town. We usually have it tight. We know where everyone is. So maybe we can go and speak to the person. And another option is you can also sign a complaint if you know who they are.
Okay, and then there's another family that has two pit bulls, or pit bull mixes that run around in the softball field down by Cedar Street, and they just let them play and run free. So that's enough. I mean, that's just another example.
Call us.
Okay, I know, I'm sorry, I can't carry my phone in my phone.
The police can't enforce anything unless it's
It's,
called.
all right.
So they can't be
have to
everywhere,
see.
but if you can call.
Just give us a call. If you see it happen, when you see a police car coming, a lot of times people hide stuff. They don't do things wrong when they see a police car coming. We depend on you when these things are happening. If you save it up and then come with complaints that we can't address right now, it's
I'm not
easier
a
for you.
consistent complainer, so.
It's like, I just want you to call us because then you're a consistent set of eyes on the street.
Okay, all right, and the one last thing I just wanted to say is that I really think we could have done a better job acknowledging Pride Week, Pride Month, because working in the schools, I mean, these kids are really, really struggling right now with identity issues, and just something simple. And we have a very significant gay community. There's 5 gay people that live on my block alone. I think you might want to plan ahead next year and reconsider raising the flag to make your residents feel safe and accepted, because we're living in an era of perpetual hate crimes and marginal groups feel fearful and targeted. And you don't have to make a big to-do, just a simple public gesture to show that we're unified and that we look out for our neighbors. And I thought just having the flag up could make that message without
I'd
any
like
money.
to address the flag with our attorney.
Sure. As I think the borough attorney was in touch with members of the council, but the way these things work on a legal level is if you have a policy in place as to what flags can get raised, and what the borough has the right to do that. Because under law, all you have the right to do is raise the American flag, POW, and KIA flag.
The government issue.
Right, the government issued flags, right? The borough has the ability to establish an ordinance raising any other flag you want. It's when you don't have an ordinance in place and you allow certain flags to be raised, then you have to allow all flags to be raised.
So it opens for
That was
litigation.
City of
I
Boston,
see.
right? City of Boston allowed 200-something flags to be raised, right? And then somebody came along that they didn't like, and they said, we're not gonna allow your flag to be raised. And the Supreme Court said, you can't do that. If you're not gonna have a policy, and you allow everyone, then you have to allow everyone, whether you like it or not. So I think what the borough attorney has recommended, and I would agree with that, as somebody who practices in this area, that the council adopt a policy by ordinance before you allow other flags other than American POW and KIA flag to be raised.
But remember, when we pick and choose the flags, it's not just, the Pride flag or the Juneteenth flag. That means anybody can come up to you for the same reason and say, I want my flag, and you may not agree with it, or this one may not
Right, I
agree with it.
understand.
So
But maybe
we're
just some
trying
other
to
gesture.
prevent any litigation happening. So by having the government issued flags on our borough properties as well as our borough building, it prevents all of that.
Okay, but what about last year when there was like a little
Yeah, there was.
ceremony or something, right?
Yeah.
Or, I don't just, it doesn't have to be a big to-do. I think just an acknowledgement is nice.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that. Okay, thank you.
John Murillo, 34 Broad Street. Just to follow up to unfinished business, Derek, is there any update on First and Walnut, the project that's going on with the rust all over the sidewalks and bricks? That project's listed now, a real estate company has real estate signs out in front, so I guess they're for sale. The well issue is still an issue.
Yeah, so they provided a copy of the state well permit that they got. I expressed to the developer the concerns about the water. They said that they had installed a filter on the well that was supposed to take care of that, and that they had cleaned the sidewalks. I haven't inspected that. I looked at it again in the last week or two to see if that filter seemed to be working. But they were at least answering it and saying that they were trying to do everything because they didn't want their sidewalks to be colored that way either. So we know it's an issue, and we'll continue to watch it. But they did get the correct permit from the state for the well.
So softeners are going to be monitored by the, but, okay.
It's on one of my lists when I take a drive through town and look for things. It's one of them.
And Broad Street, as far as the resurfacing program that was done from the highway to First Street, I understand that there's a punch list, and on that punch list wasn't the spots that were supposed to be eliminated on Broad Street, which actually, they're still there. Spots that were supposed to be eliminated by Old Glory, spots that were supposed to be eliminated by Keyport Liquors to make pedestrian safety, and it's not on the punch list. These were items that this council and previous councils discussed that they wanted to see. There was some parking that was going to be restricted, and some that was going to be eliminated, and some that was going to be created. We haven't done that. And, in front of the Fire Museum, in front of Old Glory, in front of near McDonough's, it makes it hard for people to drive, and that intersection is terrible. It would only help. I think the council needs to see that punch list also before they finalize it. I know it's a county project, but the borough, it's borough enforcement. The county doesn't come in and enforce the roadway, and it's,
I'll relook at that if we need to add to it. We can. It was never considered that to the county that this was final. We were just trying to get them to start moving and doing some of the stuff because we know they had sat and got it to what you call maybe substantial completion, but then done nothing for a long time.
Okay.
One question on that. I think Kim is actually also working on that because I had the same concern from McDonough's all the ways down to where we have the crosswalk, where it was supposed to be one side of the street parking and we were supposed to have county involved. The fire trucks cannot go around it. And they're having problems, and that's why we had a recent incident with one of the fire trucks hitting the car on the side because there's not enough room there. I've been working with Kim also on that.
And as far as the dredging that you spoke about earlier about Lower Broad Street by the boat ramp, county shouldn't be involved in that since the trunk line is on the county road?
No, we own the infrastructure, but the dredging itself, they felt as though it was not something that they could handle.
Okay. Are we working on making our dumpster ordinance better?
Yes.
Because right now, it's very sad. There's dumpsters all over Keyport, enforcement on hiding dumpsters with, as Mr. Murphy spoke to, like enclosures so you can't see them. And then when residents and businesses have a dumpster on a borough street or in a driveway for like 6 to 8 months, it's, we need to put caps on that, how long you can have it. I watched someone that's had one on West Front Street next to a beautiful business for more than 9 months now, and it's the same dumpster. And when I looked last time, I seen a pickup truck pull up with a trailer and take stuff off the dumpster, which is illegal, because then the borough doesn't get the weight slips. It just goes away, and we need them for recycling purposes. But the dumpster ordinance now, it's wide open. It's like there's no enforcement.
John, we are working on that.
Good.
Because we saw the same thing because one of the residents.
We did make them get a new dumpster.
Yes, they did get a new dumpster, but it did take forever.
Yeah, and it took 13 of my phone calls, so it's not like we. I mean, everybody sees it.
I made a complaint too.
Women are coming into town to get their hair done, paying $300, and they're looking at a place next door that's an eyesore in our town. West Front Street is our downtown. It's an eyesore, and it should be fixed. It should be straightened out. It should be done. You don't let projects like that linger on. It just gives the borough a black eye, and it's sad. The ordinance regarding Elizabeth Street Community Garden, where's that at?
Actually, we should ask Vicki on that, if you can follow up
Sure.
with Vicki.
There was an introduction,
No, there was not, because
Oh.
there was nothing put forth besides a draft.
a draft, that's right, a draft.
Right, so if you can find out from
Sure.
Vicki on that.
Thank you.
Because I didn't see that either.
I spoke earlier to the chief, like requested, regarding Green Grove Avenue and hopefully some radar. There is some problems, and I appreciate Mr. Murphy going out and addressing the cemetery problem with the mess that's there, and the radar would be an asset, because a lot of people on Green Grove are complaining, as everyone is. Now, tonight, I don't know if the mayor and council had the opportunity yet to check your email, but 118 residents within the First Street area signed a petition that's going around, and they're asking the county to come in and reassess the traffic study that they did years ago. And the reason why it's old, and we can now ask them for a new one, is because some things have happened. And we have a new bridge now in Union Beach coming into Keyport. Broadway in Union Beach, the speed limit is 35. First Street is 25. So it's very easy for a car coming from Union Beach into Keyport that's already doing 35, maybe to accelerate to 40. By the time they reach Broad Street, they may be doing 50. So, and I know the police department's out there, I know the signs are out there, but I also know people are traveling very fast down First Street. Buses are not doing 25 miles an hour. I'll tell you that right now. No way. And the county needs to come out and look at this as a very serious situation. Grew up on First Street, I know First Street. I watched Doc Hopkins got killed on First Street. My brother got hit by a car. There were many people, there was many accidents. First Street's a trap, so it's a speed trap. And I know the cops can't be there 24/7, and I know they're making an aggressive move to enforce, but we need to do our due diligence also. The one thing I do say, I've been coming to the meetings since January, talking about the same thing, and they say, if you see something, say something. So I'm going to say it tonight. I went around, there's 40 poles in Keyport right now that the lights are either missing or not working. I took time to put all the numbers of the poles and the locations. Where there's question marks, that means there's multiple in that area. And as of today, there's 42 that are out. And this is important. Some sections of town that is pitch black, and you have seniors, you have, I worry about that, and especially with so many. So I'm going to pass this on.
Mayor, can you speak to that?
Yeah, I actually had spoke already on that regarding JCP&L with, Sheriff Golden is actually working on a pilot program with the Chief of Police, myself, and the Borough Administrator to replace all the lights with LED lighting. And we're the first town to actually have that as a pilot program.
That's great.
So we are working on that, and Chief Torres has actually been in touch with Sheriff Golden and the county to make sure that this is going to happen.
That is phenomenal. That's great to hear. My last item, Mayor, is that the back door. That's an entrance to this borough building. This is a borough public building. Under the ADA rules and regulations, that is our handicap accessible. I have never walked in the back and seen that door open for a public meeting. It's locked right now. It's locked every meeting. That door, by law, has to be open to the public.
Okay, we'll do it right now.
Well, you don't have to do it right now, but I mean.
Thank you.
Celeste is impressive.
Colette Kennedy, 421 Atlantic Street. Couple things to piggyback off what Mr. Kelsey and what Mr. Merler are talking about. I understand that it's a project that you took, you were here before you were here. But I don't know if we could send something stronger to the county, because these are safety issues. These aren't just like we don't like the way it is. One of the things I don't think is being addressed, or it hasn't been addressed, but I don't think it's up on a priority list anywhere, is when they paved South Main Street to the other end of Broad Street. Some people call it Broad Street, but it's really South Main Street. By the see where Atlantic Street bumps into it, they did a cut-in. But when they did that cut-in to the corner of Atlantic Street, they paved over the crosswalk. So when I brought this up last year, the reason they said that they hadn't come out to repaint the crosswalk is because now there's this whole question about why the ADA ramps weren't done. So it's pending for an answer on the ADA ramps, but we have a senior high-rise with 400 residents that often, especially on Thursdays, walk over to St. John's Food Pantry, both high-rises from Keyport and Hazlitt, and there's no crosswalk at the end of Atlantic Street on South Main.
Yeah, the county actually came out last week to meet with Colliers, and they did a walkthrough.
Okay, so is that on the punch list anywhere?
It wasn't Derek, it was Bob, yeah.
Okay, can we just make sure somebody, because last time when we brought this up last year, it wasn't on anyone's radar.
And that's why we had the meeting with the county on the site to walk this project and re-go through everything, because I know the county has not been addressing it.
Okay, I guess what I'm trying to say though is it's not on the county's list, because when we brought it up with them last time, they're like, oh, we weren't aware we covered over a crosswalk. So I don't know that we can be depending on the county's list, is what I'm saying.
Well, that's why they did the walkthrough.
Yeah, we did the walkthrough and generated our own list.
Okay.
So, and I'll double check and make sure this is on it, but I was pretty sure it was.
Okay, great. So now I'll throw another loophole at you at that whole entire project. The project was originally approved for it to go all the way to the waterfront, to where American Legion Drive bends. They only paved up to First Street. So the rest of that was supposed to be looked into and milled and paved all the way to the end of where the flagpole is at the boat ramp. So that section right there is still considered Broad Street. And they pulled up all the history last year, and that whole part was missed. So the entrance into the boat ramp was all supposed, not in our part of the boat ramp, but the Broad Street side of it. That was all supposed to be part of the project, because the project outline was that it was Broad Street all the way down to the water. Broad Street doesn't end at First. And you know that because the restaurant and bar that used to be there was located on Broad Street with a Broad Street address, which goes past the First Street inlet. And I know,
You'll check on that, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
okay, thank you. And I know you talked about the spots in front of Old Glory, so I won't bring that up. But I would like to just point out another process, maybe because you're working on the financial processes upstairs. So I guess one of the processes that I've always questioned and I didn't really understand is if we, or you now, as a governing body, hire professionals at the beginning of the year, who's monitoring what you selected? So It was brought up a couple times tonight during the public hearing for the budget. I had already spoken, so I didn't come back up. But last year, attorney bills were put in that I stopped along and had the whole finance committee aware of the fact that none of those should have been processed because those fees, when we made the contract with them last January, was all inclusive for a monthly fee. So there shouldn't have been additional bills coming in. And then we stopped that in August, but apparently it went through in March of this year. So I don't know why it got held for 9 months when we said not to pay it. So I just want to know, you know, if a process can be put in place that things are being checked and cross-checked in the future. I'm not saying you were part of that, obviously, but that was not supposed to be paid because there was an all-inclusive contract. And I sent that to the governing body before it was voted on, but it wasn't adhered to. So
the process there is a process. Why it wasn't done before, I can't speak to it, but that's why I'm a purchasing agent and that's why I'm an administrator. There is a process. We go through it. Tom actually reviewed the bills as well for legal. There were certain things that were covered under the retainer, and then there were certain things that weren't. They were above and beyond. We reviewed everything, and these were services rendered. This went above and beyond. This went above and beyond. You have to rightfully pay as well if someone is rendering the services. And we amended the contract to pay the amount that was billed.
okay. You guys have the emails. You're aware of the situation. I'm just glad that you're here to put a process in place that will actually be followed. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mike?
It's fine.
Michael Lane, 51 First Street, Keyport. The Keyport Planning Board sent a letter to council on February 27, 23 that identified the fact that the land use requirements do not specify density requirements for the RA and RB district, whereas the master plan does, but it needs to be in the land use requirements to be enforceable. In addition, the parking criteria for parking space size, ingress, egress requirements, etc., none of those apply to the general commercial district, the way the land use requirement was dealt with when we got rid of Ms. Miller in the middle of a process change. And that needs to be fixed. It's been on the agenda now for months and you've taken no action. When are you going to take action?
We'll check, Mike, and get back to you on that.
I can send you the letter again. But I'm sure Michelle has the letter. Now, the issue of speeding on First Street. There is a lot of speeding on First Street. Now we've had, and this is Shannon, we've had these displays that tell the drivers how fast they're going. But do we record? Is there a recording device associated with
There
those?
is.
Huh?
There is.
So we have the data.
We do.
What does the data say?
The data unfortunately doesn't say exactly the perception of what the actual speeding is. I do agree they're going too fast there, but the data doesn't support going over a certain mile an hour. There was some speeding. I mean, I can retake it out. We did it, I want to say 2019 was the study when county came out and we did so many years of accidents, so many years. We gave them all kinds of reports. We put the speed, I think you remember, we put the speed sign out there for days. We collected the data, and we still have the ability to do it. So we can redo it and see, because the bridge is open now. It might have increased the speed limit, the over of the speed limit that they're going. So
Yeah, I mean,
we can try again.
One year we had two hoses like across the street with a certain distance between them, and they were able to capture how fast the cars were going.
Yeah, that was the county that had to, we put our speed limit sign, and it does capture how many cars go by, the speed limit. It gives all that data and has the ability to analyze those.
And so, how do we, have we gotten the report from the county where they wrote off the four-way stops? At the intersection of Atlantic and First and Broad and First?
To be honest, I think that Councilwoman McNamara might be able to explain it better than what I can, but is that the one?
The one that I brought up where last year when the county gave us the okay to put stop signs where we put the four ways in at, the county has stops on Green Grove at 2nd and 3rd, and we wanted to put stops in at 2nd and 3rd as you cross Green Grove, and as a courtesy kind of thing, we reached out to the county, even though there are streets where we wanted to put the sign, and it took a long time, but I want to say it was somewhere around October, November, and I'm going to pull those letters to get those stop signs. They gave us the blessing. I mean, I will find that. The ones on First Street, those, I've never seen anything.
No, the report,
That's different.
the report back was that the county denied.
So it says that there were two on First Street, Atlantic and Broad Street. The county did not approve these two.
Right, and we also need stop signs at the corner of First and Broad. People, we know how fast they come around the corner. They've knocked down 2 light poles. And
3 times.
And in addition, parents park in front of the townhouses and they take their kids across the street to the park. And let me tell you, it's been some real short stops to avoid taking out the kids. And so we have the speeding problem on Broad as well as on First. And we need a 4-way stop at that intersection. And as I said, I need to start taking pictures of the mothers of their baby carriages and laundry piled up as high as...
Don't start taking
they
pictures of
can
them,
bear.
they're gonna be scared. We'll certainly help with redoing any study, Mr. Lane. Thank you.
But can we get the study that they did, where that was the basis for their denial?
Yes.
That'd be great. Tom Fallon's report to council, can that be Oprah requested?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Tom, you don't have a problem with that?
Unless it's a draft or
It's not a draft, is it?
pre-decisional deliberative material, but we have to evaluate that.
Okay. Can you check
But
on that?
Vicky can deal with that. All right.
Thank you, Tom. That's a good one.
So what is the answer? Yes, it's available.
Oprah it, we'll let you know.
I will Oprah it. Okay. Let me mention, Beach Park. One of the most important characteristics of Beach Park is a beach that slopes down to the water. Almost any day in the summer, you'll see kids playing in the water.
Oh.
They really enjoy it. In addition, on the properties between Beach Park and the Yacht Club, all that waterfront is available to the public because anything on the water side of the bulkhead is state controlled. And so almost every weekend, there's parents and kids with their little buckets and they're having a marvelous time finding shells and trinkets, and it's so the aspect of Beach Park is the fact you have water access. Really important. And, let's see what else.
Thank you. Actually, I think you're gonna end up with more people there, especially now we're in the Monmouth County book that Councilman Demers actually, because it does state.
Pardon? I'm sorry. Mayor, I didn't hear.
What I said is, we'll probably have more people down at that beach also, for the fact that we're now in that Monmouth County beach book.
Oh, that's great. And the other thing that used to happen, but I haven't seen it recently, is in the evening after dark, parents with teenage kids, flashlights a bushel basket, and a crab net. Walking knee-deep, waist-deep in water, catching crabs.
Yeah.
Having the time of their life. That waterfront park is a tremendous asset.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, one other thing, it's interesting, there was a report, and I don't watch regular television, Channel 37, engineering errors. Being an engineer, I find it really interesting.
You see Derek's picture?
They were talking about asbestos. It was a tremendous engineering error. And that back in the 1920s and 30s, asbestos was in everything. It was in the flooring tiles, it was in the roof ceiling tiles, it was in the siding of buildings, it was in the insulation of buildings, which brings up the issue is the Second Street factory was demolished without a report by a licensed.
Would you like me to?
Yeah.
Mr.
Right.
Lane, can I interrupt you for just a moment?
Yeah.
Because I might save you a little bit.
Okay.
So, I did not know anything about this problem that was thought to have been until the meeting, when it was brought up to the DS. So the next day I contacted, actually Paul assisted me, we contacted the state and the Department of Labor with asbestos enforcement agency, and they came out and they did multiple testing over a couple of days, and all the reports came back clean.
So the Environmental Commission can get that report then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I think I just, I
They just
just
released
I
it.
just gave it to him.
Oh, okay, great, because they wanted it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else?
Saved you a couple minutes.
Andrew?
Just do that 31.
Anyone to weigh in before Andrew?
Andrew Cossack, 290 Peters Place. The lights, the light poles. For all the ones that we're paying for from JCP&L, are we paying for them? They've been out for years. If we're paying for them, why are we paying for them? They've been out and they're supposed to maintain them and they're not maintaining them. Can we look into that and get our money back if we paid them?
We'll have to look into, the borough attorney will have to look into that.
Very good.
And,
Yeah, they're
write
typically,
that
they're
down.
typically paid monthly and they're supposed to
Yeah.
include maintenance.
Actually, we met with JCP&L also, and he said if he has to do an audit of the lights, we probably will have to pay more because there's a lot of lights that we're not even
Metered.
paying for, they're not metered.
Oh.
So it would
Yeah.
actually be higher than what it's there, and he said many towns believe by having an audit, they're going to reduce fees, instead it goes higher.
I want the lights to work.
Yeah, the lights we
Yeah.
want fixed. Actually, Kim's been working with them on the lights, especially on First Street, is what you've been working on, right, Derek?
Yes.
So these
Yeah,
are
those are
important,
quick.
and John is right, and Andrew is right. We've got 47 lights out, they need to be fixed.
Um,
On First Street also.
The traffic on First Street. I have no confidence in Monmouth County doing anything for us. Personally, I could be wrong, but I don't think Keyport ranks much with the county. So, the reason people speed is because of the design of the road. If we don't change the design, they can continue to speed. Unless we put cops out there 24/7 to pull people over, but that's not gonna happen, right? We don't have the resources. So, what I think maybe we could do is, can we put temporary barriers up to squeeze the lanes a little bit to get people to slow down? Can we do that? Is that something we're allowed to do? Is the county gonna freak out? Do we have the authority?
We do not have the authority to do it.
Okay.
But I think it is important to reinforce to county that we're having speeding issues there, and it could result from when the bridge was opened also, because it is a smoother road.
Well, now the speeding, the limit drops, so I'm sure people are still just stuck in that mode of thinking it's 35.
It's about 35 to 42
Okay.
was like the high.
Right, which is still high.
But also from an traffic engineering perspective, they design to keep cars moving as fast as they can. So concerns about pedestrian safety just don't rank. And then, you can correct me if I'm wrong, perhaps, they have these so-called specifications when they're allowed to put a stop sign in. They can put a stop sign in whenever they want if they want to. You know, so when they say no because, you know, the cars aren't going fast enough, there's not enough accidents, it doesn't matter. I mean, if we want stop signs, we should get stop signs. And you know, I think that's something the council could work politically on, and also, you know, if you guys can just engage the community to get everybody to engage with the county to get this kind of stuff done, to have them change their policies.
Andrew, we actually have a meeting with the county, myself and Kim, with Tom Arnone, and it is important for him to get involved in all of this.
I mean, they should have to change their policies, like we're a town, we're a walkable town, we're not Cold Snack where everybody lives 200,000 feet away from each other. We have sidewalks, people walk. I mean, we should be able to have policies that are tailored to Keyport, you know, whatever. You guys understand. Thanks.
Thank you, Andrew. Colette?
Just to follow up on the stop sign, just to give an update on where that paused. The county did approve the additional four-way stop signs, but it was at the end of the year, and they were gonna paint the white bar in the spring and not put it in at the same time with the stop sign, so we had asked for that to all be held off with DPW and for conjunction to be worked with the police so that announcements could be made, so that we didn't just go randomly put up four-way stops without communication. So it was halted because of the painting wasn't gonna get done till the spring for the white bar for the stop sign. So there was multiple for additional four-way stops. I think I'm pretty certain that Maple and Green Grove was one of them.
Yeah, Stevens, the DPW is aware of it.
Yeah, so I know you guys were talking about which one's on Green Grove, but I think that wasn't one that was on the radar tonight, so I just want to make sure that one was, I'm pretty sure that Maple and Green Grove was another one. And then, there was something he said that I was going to piggyback off of, but another topic that obviously was sensitive in our borough, and I understand the attorney spoke to it. I'm just going to remind everyone that, you know, pride isn't about whether it's on a flagpole or off of a flagpole. Pride is every day. So having it up for a month or not having it up for a month, last year the full governing body approved that to be done along with an attorney. So if that's not going to be the thing moving forward, there's other things. That doesn't have to be on the same flagpole as an American flag. I think everyone got hung up on a flag topic, and unfortunately that really sent a message of exclusion instead of inclusion. A simple message on a borough website could have just said we support all. I mean, there's other things that could be done, so I'm here to publicly say if you want help next year, I'm willing to help.
Thank you. Right there.
Hey. Hey. My name's Heather Lanzaro. Some of you know me. I live at 142 Washington Street. I came here for the pride flag. You know, I guess you answered my question. Do I think there should be a flag up? Absolutely. Did I see something for Juneteenth? I did. Let them have a parade. Let them do what they want to do then. You don't want to hang a flag. Then let them do it. Let them have a ceremony. But that's not really what my problem is. I'm all for the whole
But
pride
Heather,
thing.
I want
What?
to interrupt you 1 second. Juneteenth was approached months ago by residents. Nobody approached me until a couple weeks ago about the pride.
Okay, well, we shouldn't have to approach you about something that is so important to the people that are gay and their rights. So I don't think I have to approach. The flag was up last year. My disappointment was it was not. I'm not gay. I'm married. Well, my husband's deceased. I just do what I see. Half of this stuff that you guys are talking about, I don't even know where it is in Keyport. I don't like getting involved. But I am here about the cemetery because that's disgraceful. I mean, God help us. I mean, I'll even go out there and help. It's disgraceful that what we're looking at in that cemetery.
That was issued a violation, so
Okay. And Shannon, I got a question for you. I've made 4 reports. I've asked for a well visit on somebody.
Yeah.
That was a hi, how are you? I was in a
I'm
fight.
sorry, you'd have to clarify. You asked for a well
A
visit
well
and you
check.
got a hi, how are
A
you?
well check on a neighbor.
Okay.
I watched your police officers check on this man who needs a well check. They said, how are you? He said, fine. They drove off. That's not a well check. Especially when I believe that the person is very sick. The other thing is I had a good old brawl in Union Beach and brought it back to Keyport because there was a Keyport fireman that picked up a pipe against my son. That was 4 years ago. 4 years ago. Nothing happened. Ridiculous. So you want me to call the police with all this stuff?
Sounds like a matter for the prosecutor.
Yeah.
Prosecutor didn't go anywhere. Didn't go any from Union Beach and it didn't go any for Keyport. But I know that I had a 17-year-old kid that had a pipe brought up against him, and I fought. I went. And I fought 15 firemen, and one of them is in here. In this town. So yes, I press charges against him. You take a pipe to my kid, I'm coming.
I
If
think
it wasn't midnight, then I goddamn right, I would have had 20 guys with me.
If you want to discuss it, this is just not the appropriate forum
Okay,
to discuss
well,
that.
right,
No,
I'm
we
done
can
with that,
definitely-
I'm done with this whole town. I'm done. So, the other thing is the pride and the streets you're talking about all the speedways, and it's the whole town. It's not just First Street. It's like, I appreciate all your, your speed things, and I hope that people pay attention, and believe me, I'm sure my son's involved. But the fact of the matter is like you want to do First Street, well, Washington Street is a hell of a roadway to cut through to get over to Broadway again, or Broad. Like I said, I don't care. I don't know anything about this town. The other thing is, you can talk about the whole town being a speedway. I agree. What about when you go over to try to get into Mattawan? Are we going to get that turn on right back when that bridge is done? No?
Derek, do you know on
I don't think so.
that?
but
There
I'm
used to be a
happy
turn,
You just turned into Mattawan.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you're all backed up again. Can't even get over the bridge. I know we're under construction.
It's not, it's because of May Street. The people who live in May Street and Washington back that way, if you're coming from Mattawan and you need to turn onto May Street, and all of those cars are coming out of Keyport, making right on red, they think you're trying to come into Keyport, not onto May Street. It's really, really a safety.
Oh, there's a street next to it? I never know.
I know. So next time, just look. And imagine if you're coming the other way, and that's where you wanted to turn.
Into a street, there's a side street.
Yes.
All right, so we're not getting turned on red. Okay. And, with the pride, I think we could do better. It's a huge suicidal thing. Let's back our people. Let's back everybody. Team teams, I don't care what you are. I'll back you. All right?
Thank you.
That's all.
Anybody else? Jack?
Jack Straub, 225 Main Street, I'll be brief. Following up on what Mr. Lane said about Beach Park, I agree that Beach Park is an asset. I wish every time the tide came in, trash didn't come up, but that's a different issue. But as far as the parking, the suggestion that made earlier about maybe switching Beach Park to the peninsula, whatever, maybe we could, obviously, like Mr. Lane said, the beach is the beach, the water's there. Maybe the parking could be addressed. All of the parking where Beach Park is for trailers that take their boats out. And then they're out for hours and the trailers are there. Maybe some of those trailers could go to the peninsula where the Historical Society, because it's a dead zone. You don't want really kids there anyway. But maybe some of the trailer parking could be there, and you could have some real parking for just people in cars that want to come to Beach Park and enjoy the beach, like Mr. Lane said. So maybe a portion of those long trailer parking spots could be moved across the street and open up some other parking there. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Anybody else? Elmer?
Homer Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. As far as I'm concerned, Madam Mayor and the whole borough council here, you truly are the mayor of the borough council of all the citizens of our borough, and you're doing a terrific job. But anyway, on a lighter note, on the Met game in Houston, there's 4-2 in the bottom of the 8th inning. They're losing, 4-2. Okay? All right?
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, don't bounce back. I brought these couple of items up before, but as you all know, a lot of people can't make these borough council meetings when they're had and stuff like that. I realize they're on YouTube and stuff, but it would be nice if we were able to televise them live on Zoom or on cable channel 15. That way, many more people can see them and stuff like that. And okay, one last thing. I've made this pitch before. There's an adult daycare center. I go to the We Care Adult Day Center twice a week. I help them out. They help me out and stuff like that. And their staff there is outstanding. And for any Keyport resident who needs to go there, especially with Alzheimer's and dementia and stuff like that, to give the caregivers a break, I would highly recommend them. They're located in Red Bank, New Jersey, and they're on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you, Elmer. Anybody else? Motion to close the public.
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Motion to adjourn? Motion. All in favor? Aye.